Chapter 368. All of this is for a reason. You clearly told me that she was still alive. Chen Nan's voice was trembling. He could not believe his own feelings. He was afraid that the corpse king in the white light was the girl he had been thinking about day and night. Chu Bei remained silent. At this moment, the only thing he could do was to let go of his hand and let the other party release all of his anger and killing intent. Gradually, the dazzling white light began to dissipate. The first thing that appeared in everyone's eyes was a pair of snow-white, slender hands. Almost at the same time, the cultivators below the stage held their breaths. Such perfect hands must have a stunning appearance. Is this really an ancient corpse? If I'm not wrong, only the hands are perfect. The rest of the body is still full of holes. The crowd of cultivators spoke again. However, as more and more of the dazzling white light dissipated, they were all speechless. When the white light completely dissipated, a beautiful figure floated in the air. Her cloud-like hair fluttered in the wind. Her nose was tall and straight, her eyebrows were curved, her lips were rosy, and her teeth were like jade. A peerlessly beautiful face appeared in front of everyone's eyes. After seeing the woman's appearance clearly, everyone was stunned. Their faces were filled with disbelief. She was a beauty that could captivate birds and beasts, outshine the moon and put flowers to shame, and devastatingly beautiful. If these words were used to describe the woman on the stage, it would only sound tacky. This beautiful face did not seem to belong to the mortal world. There was not a trace of the mortal world's aura. Just by looking at her appearance, the woman seemed to be somewhat naive and playful. If there was a flaw, it would be the pitch-black chains that locked the 16 parts of her body. At this moment, Chen Nan could no longer control the sadness in his heart. Tears silently slid down his cheeks. His heart was filled with endless sorrow. It was as if he had lost the entire world. If you want to kill them, then kill them. It's time for them to pay their debts. Looking at Chen Nan's bloodshot eyes, Chu Bei patted his arm lightly. Clang clang. Following the sound of the chains colliding, the woman on the stage suddenly lowered her head. Her gaze focused and 2 rays of blood-red light shot out from her beautiful eyes. When they met the woman's cold gaze again, the group of cultivators instinctively took a step back. The other party's eyes were so terrifying, and the blood-red light was incomparably evil, causing people to feel a bone-piercing chill. Such a beautiful woman was actually defiled by the chasing corpse sect. A wave of hissing sounds came from below the stage. A woman with such peerless beauty was actually refined into a corpse king after her death. Everyone, are you satisfied with this corpse king? Has it overturned your understanding of the chasing corpse sect? On the high platform, the stooped old man seemed to be very satisfied with everyone's shocked expressions and laughed complacently. Puff! Below the stage, Chen Nan spat out a mouthful of blood. He heard the sound of his heart shattering. The world in front of him was so dark. He had lost the entire world. He got up and walked towards the high platform step by step. His eyes were red and his hair was dancing wildly. He roared in a hoarse voice. Die, all of you die. I want everyone from the chasing corpse sect to die. What's wrong with this kid? Who is he? From the looks of it, he must be here to cause trouble. However, no matter how great his hatred for the chasing corpse sect is, he shouldn't have chosen this time. And from the looks of it, it seems like he's alone. In my opinion, with the chasing corpse sect's style of doing things, they must have stolen the bodies of this kid's relatives. Sigh, I feel like there's going to be another corpse soon. The group of cultivators' gazes were attracted by the crazed Chen Nan as they discussed animatedly. It's him. They're actually here too. A beautiful woman in the southwest corner opened her mouth slightly and looked at Chen Nan in surprise. Not only her, but the few young men beside her also looked shocked. You all know him? A young man holding a halberd looked at the woman beside him in confusion. Brother Xiang, he's the person who received the nameless godfiend's inheritance that we were talking about. I just didn't expect them to come to the chasing corpse sect's ceremony. Meng Ke glanced at Chen Nan and said indifferently. It's actually him. What's so special about him that the nameless god fiend took a fancy to him? Xiang Tian's eyes narrowed as he sized up Chen Nan. He frowned slightly as his eyes burned with fighting spirit. Old Chu, don't you feel that this kid's aura seems to be stronger? It doesn't seem to be rank 4 anymore. The vice principal of the God Wind Academy, Yi Feng, squinted at Chen Nan and said to Chu Ao beside him. He should have stepped into rank 5. Chu Ao took a deep breath. Although he tried his best to remain calm, his face still showed an unconcealable shock. A day ago, the other party was only at rank 2. Later, after receiving the nameless God Fiend's inheritance, his cultivation reached rank 4. However, only a few hours had passed and he had stepped into rank 5 again. Since when was cultivation as easy as drinking water? There was a huge gap between rank 4 and rank 5. All of them took decades to successfully break through. Senior is here too. The gazes of Chu Ao, Yi Feng, and the others landed on Chu Bei, and the respect in their eyes grew even more. Only an existence like Chu Bei, who could make a nameless fiend god revere, could make a second-stage cultivator become a fifth-stage cultivator in a single day. Noticing the gazes of Chu Ao and the others, Chu Bei nodded and smiled as a greeting. Little guy, which sect do you belong to? Today is the grand opening of our sect. We don't want to kill. But if you're here to cause trouble, humph. The hunchbacked old man looked coldly at Chen Nan. With a wave of his sleeve, a majestic aura burst out, shaking the entire high platform. Die! I want all of you from the Chasing Corpse sect to die! Chen Nan's cold in the forest voice reverberated in the air above the Chasing Corpse sect's manor. On the high platform, Chen Nan's veins were bulging. His expression was ferocious. The golden light on the surface of his body burned like flames. His entire body emitted a dazzling golden light. If one looked carefully, one would find that 2 balls of light on his chest were quickly intertwining to form a Taiji diagram. Above the Taiji diagram, a spirit pill was rotating rhythmically. Feeling Chen Nan's monstrous hatred, the 16 old men were stunned. They looked at each other, and then shook their heads. Obviously, they did not understand what was going on. No matter what enmity you have with our Chasing Corpse sect, you shouldn't have come to seek revenge at this time. As soon as the hunchbacked old man finished speaking, he raised his hand. The 4-winged corpse of the fallen angel shot out a red light from its eyes and swooped down. Chen Nan glanced at the fallen angel that was swooping down. He clenched his right fist and punched directly at the corpse. Rumble! The moment Chen Nan's fist hit the fallen angel, a majestic golden light surged into the fallen angel's body. Accompanied by a loud bang, the fallen angel's body twisted crazily and then rapidly expanded. A moment later, it exploded like a balloon and turned into pieces of flesh and blood that scattered in the air. The people below the stage, including the elders of the Holy Lands, were stunned when they saw this scene. Their expressions gradually stiffened. Heavens! He destroyed an ancient corpse with a single punch! That's a 5th-stage ancient corpse. This person is only in his 20s. Why haven't I heard of such a person among the top younger generation of the continent? He destroyed an ancient corpse with a single punch. He should at least have the strength of a 5th-stage ancient corpse. Even the successors of the Holy Lands and the Evil Path are overshadowed by him. Which sect does this evildoer come from? With such strength, it's no wonder that he dared to cause trouble at the opening ceremony of the Chasing Corpse sect. The people below the stage recovered from their shock and sighed as they looked at Chen Nan's back. Fairy Meng, he's not a 4th-stage ancient corpse. Xiang Tian looked at Meng Ke with a playful expression. The moment Chen Nan destroyed the ancient corpse with a single punch, the fighting spirit in his eyes disappeared and was replaced by jealousy and envy. How could this be? Meng Ke and the young experts of the 4 academies looked at each other in dismay. They didn't expect that this guy's strength would increase by a whole realm in just a few hours. Master, will brother be in danger alone? Why don't you go and help him? Little Chen Shi blinked her big eyes at Chu Bei and pleaded in a childish voice. Don't worry, no one here can stop him. Let him vent his anger to his heart's content. Chu Bei pinched little Chen Shi's rosy cheek slightly. If there's really something that he can handle, I'll naturally step in. Reaching the 5th stage at such a young age, you must have had a lot of opportunities. No wonder you dared to cause trouble at the opening ceremony of the Chasing Corpse sect. The hunchbacked old man narrowed his eyes and glanced coldly at Shannan. His tone suddenly changed. If you can endure for a few more years and reach the 6th stage, I'm afraid you'll really become a hidden danger for the Chasing Corpse sect. Unfortunately, you came early and are destined to become a perfect corpse. As his cold voice fell, the hunchbacked old man's body floated into the air. A 6th stage expert. Feeling the powerful aura released by the hunchbacked old man, the faces of the Holy Land's elders changed. Obviously, they didn't expect that the Chasing Corpse sect, which had been silent for thousands of years, had a 6th stage expert. Little guy, this old man will make your death worth it. As his slightly hoarse voice fell, the hunchbacked old man waved his right hand. In an instant, the hunchbacked old man's body was surrounded by billowing black gas and strong gales of wind. The black light surged and turned into a huge pitch-black fist print. The fist print blasted towards Shannan, and the void rumbled wherever it passed. Die. As Cold in the Forest said that word, Shannan's body exploded with an unparalleled killing intent. In the next moment, a broad sword appeared in Shannan's palm, and he gripped the hilt tightly with both hands. As his aura rose, the broad sword suddenly exploded with a dazzling golden light. The moment he swung the sword, the Tai Chi God-Demon diagram in his body spun at its current peak. The sword slashed down. The sword light turned into a long rainbow and swept through the air with an unparalleled power towards the hunchbacked old man's pitch-black fist print. Clang! The sword light collided with the pitch-black fist print, and a crisp sound of collision rang out. Just when everyone thought that a terrifying energy fluctuation would erupt between the two in the next moment, the saber light suddenly erupted with a terrifying power. It was the power of the gods and demons supported by the God-Demon diagram. With a swift and fierce momentum, it easily shattered the pitch-black fist mark. Chapter 369. On the battlefield, after Shannan destroyed the hunchbacked old man's attack, he appeared in front of him with his saber in hand. The hunchbacked old man did not react in time. His pupils dilated, and he could not dodge in time. The energy armor on his body was split open by the saber. Then, he felt an uncontrollable energy explode in his body. Bang! With a dull sound, the hunchbacked old man exploded like the ancient corpse. Chunks of flesh and blood splattered on the high platform. It was unbearable to look at. Hiss! At this moment, whether it was the 16 old men controlling the corpses on the platform or the spectators below, their expressions froze along with the silence in the air. He killed a 6th stage expert! Someone was the first to recover from the shock and could not help but exclaim. Monster! A real monster! He killed a 6th stage expert with a single saber strike. I'm afraid that not only will the Chasing Corpse sect ceremony end early, but the entire sect will be destroyed. Who is this kid's master? Who on the entire continent can be his opponent now? That saber is not simple either. The cultivators below the platform looked at each other. They had witnessed the defeat of a 6th stage expert with their own eyes. The 16 old men controlling the corpses on the spectators' platform were horrified. They looked at each other and seemed to be thinking of a countermeasure. Today, all of you will die! After killing the hunchbacked old man, Shannan's Cold in the Forest gaze fell on the 16 old men controlling the corpses. His eyes had turned completely blood-red, as if he was possessed by the devil. As soon as his voice fell, Shannan's body turned into a ball of light and hovered above the high platform. Seeing Shannan's strange technique, the cultivators below the platform became increasingly uneasy. One by one, they stood up from their chairs and stared unblinkingly at the ball of light that Shannan had turned into. Use the Corpse King to deal with him! The 16 old men controlling the corpses immediately made a unanimous decision. They chanted one after another, and shook the iron chains in their hands rhythmically. The beautiful female corpse in the air seemed to be affected by the iron chains. The blood-red light in her eyes became more and more intense. Her flawless face frowned slightly, but she still did not move. Looking at her expression, she seemed to be resisting something. Impossible! Why is the Corpse King out of control? The 16 corpse-controlling elders danced faster and faster, and their faces turned pale. However, the female corpse did not move at all. Pooh! 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 Suddenly, the female corpse struggled in pain and swung the chains. Almost at the same time, the 16 corpse-controlling elders spat out blood as if they had suffered a backlash. Looking at the ball of golden light that Chen-Nan had transformed into, there was a pair of giant hands within the light, tightly gripping a broad saber and chopping down with all their might. Pung pung pung! Wherever the saber light passed, a series of explosions rang out. Not long after, only lumps of flesh and blood were left on the high platform. The thick smell of blood drifted in the air, making people feel nauseous. Swish! Swish! Several air-piercing sounds could be heard as a few more elders rushed over from the depths of the chasing corpse sex manor. When they saw the bloody scene on the high platform, their expressions froze. Then, they looked at the ball of light in the sky and the zombie king that had broken free. They quickly guessed what had happened. Sect Master, the old Sect Master, he's dead! A middle-aged man trembled as he looked at the green-robed elder beside him. Listen to my order. Blood sacrifice. Summon the invincible ancient corpse. Avenge the old Sect Master. The green-robed elder glanced at Chen-Nan and quickly made a decision. Upon receiving the green-robed elder's order, the 24 elders who had rushed over quickly took out 2 jade tablets from their chests. Then, they slammed them together rhythmically. After each rhythmic slam, a little blood essence would fly out from between their brows and disappear into the jade tablet. If we really talk about the Foundation, even those evil sects from the sacred grounds can't compare to the Chasing Corpse sect. The group of elders from the sacred grounds seemed to have sensed something and could not help but mutter. They had sensed that a powerful existence was awakening underground. Woo woo woo, low ghostly howls that made one's scalp tingle came from underground. Gradually, the entire manor began to shake. Suddenly, the area where the high platform was located collapsed, and then a large crack that was nearly 3 meters wide appeared. Under countless gazes, a huge ancient corpse that was nearly 10 meters tall climbed up stiffly like a mechanical puppet. Under its messy black hair, its facial features were not very clear. However, 2 cold rays of light shone from its long hair, which immediately gave people the urge to kneel down and worship it. This invincible ancient corpse was definitely a powerful fiend god when it was alive. This was the first thought that appeared in the minds of the cultivators when they saw the ancient corpse's cold gaze. However, just when everyone thought that there was only one invincible ancient corpse, a row of bloody corpses climbed out of the deep crack one after another. At a glance, there were a total of 13 bloody corpses lined up behind the invincible ancient corpse. Are those behind the invincible ancient corpse the Chasing Corpse sect's legendary 13 blood corpses? Heavens, didn't they say that these 13 blood corpses were all destroyed in the battle between the East and the West 1,000 years ago? It turns out that all this was a lie. It's said that each of the 13 blood corpses is comparable to a 6th-stage Great Ascension expert. And because they can't feel pain, even 6th-stage Great Ascension experts have to avoid them. No wonder these ancient corpses gave me a sense of oppression. Now, it seems that the tables have turned. That young man is in a bad situation. After today, I'm afraid that even the sacred grounds won't dare to provoke the Chasing Corpse sect. Their foundation is too terrifying. The cultivators began to worry for Chen-Nan. However, Chu-Aoe Foam and the rest did not have much of a change in expression. Chen-Nan was not scary. What was really scary was the master behind him. Perhaps we can use this invincible ancient corpse to find out the senior's background. Chu-Aoe Foam could not help but look in the direction of Chu-Bei. Master. Little Chen, she seemed to have sensed the power of the invincible ancient corpse. She clenched her little hands tightly and looked at Chu-Bei pitifully. With me here, he'll be fine. Chu-Bei pinched little Chen-Chi's cheeks and smiled faintly. Who woke me up? Above the ravine, The invincible ancient corpse turned around stiffly and looked at the old man in green robes and shouted. As soon as he opened his mouth, a terrifying pressure surged out from his body. A thick aura of death spread throughout the entire manor, causing many people to be unable to breathe. Lord Ancient Corpse, he killed our sect leader and several elders. I implore you to avenge them. The green-robed old man pointed at the golden light that Chen Nan had transformed into, and looked respectfully at the invincible ancient corpse. You should know the price of waking me up, right? The invincible ancient corpse glanced at Chen Nan's direction and then locked his gaze on the old man in green robes. His voice was incomparably terrifying. Lord Ancient Corpse, I. The old man in green robes seemed to have remembered something. His face turned pale, but before he could finish his words, the invincible ancient corpse had already pierced through his chest with a palm. In an instant, the blood in the old man's body flowed through the invincible ancient corpse's palm and into the latter's body. In just a few seconds, the originally spirited old man in green robes turned into a dried corpse. What a nostalgic delicacy! The invincible ancient corpse licked his lips greedily. His words were filled with enjoyment. When they met the invincible ancient corpse's gaze, the cultivators below the stage took a few steps back. This invincible ancient corpse is too cruel. The chasing corpse sect is playing with fire. An elder from the Holy Land said, Kill him. At this moment, the invincible ancient corpse looked at Chen Nan and let out a strange cry. Swoosh! 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 The 13 blood corpses leaped into the air as fast as lightning and instantly spread out to surround the golden light that was Chen Nan. In the dazzling light, Chen Nan coldly glanced at the blood corpses with disheveled hair and blood stains all over their bodies. Once again, he waved the broad saber that he bought from the merchant city. The saber light surged and swept toward one of the blood corpses. Boom! With a loud bang, a football-sized hole appeared on the blood corpse's chest. However, the blood corpse did not disappear. It still stuck out its long tongue at Chen Nan emotionlessly. As expected of the 13 ancient blood corpses. He's still fine after taking a hit from the saber. The cultivators looked at the blood corpse that was hit in shock. The same saber had killed the former sect leader of the chasing corpse sect, who was a rank 6 lower vehicle. Although the blood corpse's chest had a hole, it was a corpse and could not feel pain. It did not affect its combat strength at all. Swoosh! 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 The 13 blood corpses pounced on Chen Nan from different directions. An endless aura of death spread out. The blood corpses slapped at Chen Nan again and again. If it were an ordinary rank 6 expert, his body would definitely be invaded by the aura of death, and his body would weaken rapidly. However, be it the aura of death or the blood corpses, they could not cause any harm to Chen Nan, who had turned into a ray of light. This young man's methods are really strange. Although he can't hurt the ancient blood corpses, these blood corpses can't do anything to him either. The spectators below the stage stared at the sky above the stage without blinking. Their eyes were full of astonishment. The invincible ancient corpse also noticed Chen Nan's strange behavior. However, it only glanced at him with disdain and looked away. Then, it flew toward the beautiful female corpse. It seemed that compared to avenging the chasing corpse sect, this female corpse was more interesting to him. What are you resisting? The invincible ancient corpse seemed to have noticed something. It looked at the beautiful female corpse coldly. Why don't you kill that man? Do you know him? The red light in the beautiful female corpse's eyes dissipated. She nodded at the invincible ancient corpse. You're perfect. So perfect that I'm a little jealous. The aura released by the invincible ancient corpse became more and more terrifying. It raised its hand and pointed at Chen Nan. I'll give you a chance. Kill him now! The beautiful female corpse looked directly at the invincible ancient corpse's cold eyes. She shook the black chain that was still binding her and shook her head. Her slightly hollow eyes were filled with determination. Bang! After getting the answer from the beautiful female corpse, the invincible ancient corpse snorted and swung its hand down. With a loud bang, a terrifying energy wave exploded. Boundless aura of death filled the air, and the sky darkened. Then, the beautiful female corpse was smashed down by the invincible ancient corpse like a cannonball, creating a deep crater in the ground. Chapter 370. Don't hurt her. Seeing the beautiful female corpse being shot down, Chen Nan's roar came from the golden light. In a flash, Chen Nan left the battlefield of the 13 blood corpses and appeared above the invincible ancient corpse. The celestial demon diagram spun and slashed down. The blade light fell on the neck of the invincible ancient corpse, but it stopped after 2 centimeters. The invincible ancient corpse slightly twisted its neck and glanced at Chen Nan disdainfully. Then, it ignored him and continued to fly toward the beautiful female corpse in the deep pit. Don't touch her! Sensing the invincible ancient corpse's intention, the Tai Chi celestial demon diagram in Chen Nan's body spun crazily. At the same time, the surrounding golden light poured into the broad blade and slashed down continuously. The first slash accurately landed on the invincible ancient corpse's forehead. The second slash ruthlessly landed on the corpse's abdomen. The third slash directly hit the invincible ancient corpse's chest. The fourth slash landed on the invincible ancient corpse's head. The fifth slash, the sixth slash, came one after another. In just a few seconds, the invincible ancient corpse was covered by the blade light. However, not long after the blade light landed on the invincible ancient corpse, it was eroded by the corpse energy around it. At this moment, the invincible ancient corpse had arrived beside the deep pit. Its right hand grabbed one end of the pitch-black chain and pulled it hard. Clang! With a crisp sound, a beautiful figure flew out of the deep pit. Put her down! Chen Nan screamed in pain, his voice full of unwillingness. He hated that he was not strong enough. With a flash of golden light, Chen Nan appeared in front of the beautiful female corpse and turned back into his human form, protecting her behind him. Just an ant! The invincible ancient corpse glanced at Chen Nan with a mocking face. Its huge fist wrapped in corpse energy raised. Is this young man here for the female corpse king of the chasing corpse sect? What is his relationship with the corpse king? Is the corpse king his lover? Impossible! According to the information I got, the chasing corpse sect got this female corpse 1,000 years ago. If that's the case, this young man shouldn't be related to the female corpse. But look at him now, he seems to have gone crazy. He even exposed himself to protect her. Who knows what the reason is? Anyway, he won't be able to live. It's a pity that he has such great talent. Chen Nan ignored the discussions of the crowd. 10,000 years ago, this girl used her life to block the demon's attack for him. 10,000 years later, when they met again, even if the other party was just a refined corpse, he would not allow anyone to harm him, even if it meant risking his life. Amidst the soul-stirring rumbling sounds, the invincible ancient corpse's fist swung down, bringing with it a monstrous might. With a single punch, the void collapsed, and slender pitch-black cracks extended far into the distance. However, just when everyone thought that Chen Nan would be turned into minced meat under the invincible ancient corpse's terrifying fist, a ripple appeared in the void in front of the ladder. In the next moment, a plain-looking figure appeared. He raised his hand and easily blocked the punch. Under this palm that did not contain the slightest fluctuation of yuan qi, the invincible ancient corpse's incomparably terrifying punch could not advance even an inch. The invincible ancient corpse's attack was blocked. Who is that person? Where did he come from? He was able to block a punch from the invincible ancient corpse. What kind of cultivation base does he have? Could it be that they are in cahoots? Are they all from some ancient holy land? Think about it, the invincible ancient corpse has the body of a fiend god. Even a sixth-order Mahayana expert would be turned into minced meat under his punch. That person can block it so easily, he must be an immortal who has broken through the void. That's right, immortals can all rejuvenate. Perhaps he has already lived for thousands of years. The spectators around the high platform stared blankly at the scene above the gully. Each and every one of them stood there motionless in astonishment, staring blankly at Chu Bei, who had blocked the invincible ancient corpse's fist. In front of the invincible ancient corpse's huge body, Chu Bei seemed very small, but it was this seemingly thin and weak figure that forcibly blocked the invincible ancient corpse's unimaginably terrifying punch. Compared to those cultivators who saw Chu Bei for the first time, Chu Ao, Chu Yu, Yi Feng, and the others' expressions were much more relieved. It was as if they had expected the other party's appearance from the beginning. As for being able to block the invincible ancient corpse's punch unscathed, it was also within their expectations. "He is the old senior you mentioned to me before?" Xiang Tian, the successor of the evil path, glanced at Chu Bei's back, then turned his head to look at Meng Ke and the other young experts of the major academies. Meng Ke nodded. "That's him. A mysterious person that even the nameless fiend god has to treat with respect. No one knows his origin, and his cultivation base is unfathomable. Master." Looking at the figure that appeared in front of him, Chen Nan could not help but call out softly, "I'll leave the chasing corpse sect to you. As for these corpses, leave them to me." Chu Bei turned his head and looked at Chen Nan indifferently. As his calm voice fell, the right palm that blocked the invincible ancient corpse's fist shook slightly. Suddenly, a divine light shot into the sky, and a heart-palpitating energy fluctuation spread out. Under this force, the invincible ancient corpse's huge body first stumbled 2 steps back, then flew out and crashed into the mountain in the distance, causing rocks to roll down. The crowd of spectators stared blankly at the invincible ancient corpse that had sunk into the mountain. They could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. When they looked at Chu Bei again, their gazes were filled with even more respect and fear. Almost at the same time, Chen Nan turned into a golden light and swam around the people of the chasing corpse sect, starting a bloody massacre. Every time he passed by a person, there would be an additional corpse that was full of bloody holes behind him. "Human, you deserve to die!" A roar filled with monstrous killing intent floated in the air, echoing above the entire manor for a long time. Rumble! The mountain in the distance shook violently, and thick black fog constantly emerged from the crater that the invincible ancient corpse had created. When the black fog dissipated, the invincible ancient corpse seemed to have evolved. Its body was covered with a layer of thick armor. The armor was completely black, and only its eyes shone with a little red light. Immediately after, the invincible ancient corpse's body emitted a series of friction sounds. At the same time, a violent and terrifying aura swept out. In the face of this violent fluctuation that was like a natural disaster, the expressions of all the cultivators, including the elders of the various holy lands, changed. Roar! A loud roar that seemed to have come from ancient times resounded in the sky. The terrifying sound waves wandered in the manor, and countless building tiles shattered and flew in all directions. At this moment, the invincible ancient corpse was like a primordial beast that had just woken up from a deep sleep. The roar was filled with heart-palpitating cruelty and brutality, as if it was filled with endless destruction and killing. The source of the roar seemed to represent the most terrifying disaster in the world. Chu Bei glanced expressionlessly at the invincible ancient corpse whose aura had multiplied. His face was as calm as an ancient well, and he was still calm and composed. Die! Amidst the roar that was filled with monstrous killing intent, the invincible ancient corpse reappeared in front of everyone. To be more precise, it suddenly appeared above Chu Bei's head. At the same time, the huge pitch-black palm that was surrounded by the aura of death fiercely slapped toward Chu Bei's head. "You've been in the lower realm for too long. Do you really think you're invincible?" The disdainful voice of Cold in the Forest came out of Chu Bei's mouth. As his indifferent voice fell, Chu Bei pinched his fingers into the shape of a sword and waved his hand. In an instant, the sword light on his fingertip enlarged rapidly. The dazzling golden light was like a row of suns. A holy aura instantly filled the entire place, forming a huge contrast with the aura of death formed by the invincible ancient corpse. Swoosh! The sword light shot out. It smashed the giant pitch-black palm that carried the terrifying aura of death with an unstoppable force. Then, it continued to move forward and cut the invincible ancient corpse from the head to the soles of its feet, cutting it in half from the middle like cutting tofu. The moment the two halves of the corpse fell, Chu Bei casually waved a few more sword lights. Bang! 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 Countless pieces of corpse flesh fell on the high platform. The sound of the collision shook the minds of everyone present. From the moment the invincible ancient corpse disappeared in anger and appeared above Chu Bei to the moment Chu Bei pinched his fingers into the shape of a sword and waved the sword light to cut down the invincible ancient corpse, this seemingly long process actually happened in the blink of an eye. Looking at the pieces of ancient corpse flesh falling from the sky, the spectators couldn't help but gulp. They looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with indescribable astonishment. A moment ago, the invincible ancient corpse had a monstrous aura that shook the entire place. In just a few seconds, it had fallen into a miserable state. The invincible ancient corpse and the mysterious person were not at the same level at all. To be more precise, this was a completely one-sided battle. While everyone was still immersed in the shock brought by the annihilation of the invincible ancient corpse, Chu Bei's gaze swept across the 13 blood corpses and slapped out. In the roar, the huge palm print swept across the 13 blood corpses. When it dissipated, the 13 blood corpses were nowhere to be found. First the invincible ancient corpse, then the 13 blood corpses. It was completely effortless. I'm afraid his cultivation is above our expectations. In the manner, after a short moment of silence, an earth-shattering clamor echoed in the air. Hundreds and thousands of spectators looked at Chu Bei with incomparable admiration. They wanted to go up and curry favor with him, but they were afraid of him. Looking back at Chen Nan, he had already wiped out the entire chasing corpse sect. Corpses that were still warm were strewn all over the place in every corner of the manor. As expected of the existence above the immortal martial realm. But why hasn't he been taken away by the heaven realm after reaching that realm? Witnessing the scene of the battle, Chu Ao took a deep breath and sighed with some confusion. He had already reached rank 6, and it was precisely because he had reached rank 6 that he knew that his cultivation journey was not yet complete. According to the records of the royal family, the immortal martial realm, which was rank 7, really existed. Judging from the aura released by the invincible ancient corpse, its strength should be at the immortal martial realm, or even the Mahayana realm. However, even with such strength, it was still like an ant in front of the mysterious person. It was no different from them. There was always someone who was better than you. At this moment, Chu Ao deeply understood that he still had a long way to go on the path of cultivation. Master is so awesome! Little Chenxi floated to Chu Bei's side with a smile on her fair little face. With me around, nothing will happen to your brother. Chu Bei patted Chenxi's little head dotingly. From now on, you will be my backer. The baby dragon came to Chu Bei with her eyes wide open, her face full of admiration. Master, thank you. A flash of light appeared in front of Chu Bei. Chen Nan revealed himself, his eyes full of gratitude. After thanking him, Chen Nan's gaze returned to the female corpse. Looking at that familiar peerless beauty, he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. God, why are you so cruel? Yusin is dead, why can't you let her sleep peacefully? Why did she have to be tortured by these beasts after she died? Why did all of this happen? God, give me back my Yusin! Give me back my Yusin! Gradually, Chen Nan's eyes turned red, his hair danced wildly, and he howled sorrowfully. The oath of love from 10,000 years ago still lingered in his ears, the smile of the past still appeared before his eyes, and the telepathy of the past had yet to dissipate. However, 10,000 years later, when they met again, they were separated by life and death. If it were not for the pair of blood-red eyes, her otherworldly appearance, her beautiful face that was like a delicate flower, was still as delicate and beautiful as it was 10,000 years ago. However, the death aura that was constantly released by the other party told him that this was no longer the Yusin from 10,000 years ago. The other party's spiritual consciousness had long been extinguished, and the body in front of him was just a corpse king refined by the chasing corpse sect. Qinnan's body trembled, and he kept approaching the female corpse. His blood-red eyes were filled with tears. 10 years of life and death. Without thinking, it would be unforgettable. A lonely grave thousands of miles away, with no place to talk. Even if we met, we would not know each other, dust-covered face, hair like frost. At night, I would dream of returning to my hometown, a small window. Dressing up. Looking at each other without words, there were only tears. Years of broken intestines, a bright moon night, a short pine ridge. Tears soaked his clothes, and Qinnan's face became paler. He stared fixedly at his former lover, and his heart was suffering as if 10,000 ants were gnawing at his heart. His former lover stood in front of him, but they were separated by life and death. So close yet worlds apart, so close yet worlds apart. Life and death, meeting without knowing each other, there were only tears. Master, didn't you tell me that Yusin is still alive? But why did the Yusin in front of me turn into a corpse king? Why? Suddenly, Qinnan, who had already walked to Yusin's side, turned around and grabbed Chu Bei with both hands as if he had gone mad. His voice was sorrowful. Looking at the disheartened Qinnan, Chu Bei shook his head and said, "The corpse king you saw is indeed Yusin, but what I said before, Yusin is still alive, and that's not wrong either." Master, what do you mean? Hearing Chu Bei's words, Qinnan's body shook, and his eyes regained some clarity. Chu Bei took a step forward and looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. His expression seemed to have sunk into his memories. 10,000 years ago, although she died at the hands of the Devil King, your father Qinzhan defied the heavens and changed her fate, bringing her back to life. But when she left the valley, she heard the bad news that you were dead. When she was disheartened, she followed your father Qinzhan into the heaven realm. Not long after, your father Qinzhan left without saying goodbye. Coincidentally, at this time, she obtained the record of unruffled sage. In order to survive, she was forced to practice the record of unruffled sage and became the famous merciless fairy in the heaven realm. Little Qin, she was the incarnation she left behind in the 100 Flowers Valley. As for the spiritual corpse in front of you, it was her real body that fell off when she practiced the record of unruffled sage. Chapter 371. The living Uxian is in the heaven realm? Qinnan gripped Chu Bei's hand excitedly. How can I go to the heaven realm? For now, you should deal with this spiritual corpse Uxian first. Chu Bei shook his head and did not give an answer. Do you know me? I feel a familiar aura from you. They told me to kill you, but I refused. This resistance came from my instinct. There was a voice in my subconscious that told me not to kill you. At this moment, Corpse King Uxian took the initiative to take a few steps closer to Qinnan. Her beautiful blood-red eyes were fixed on Qinnan. Her slightly doubtful voice was like the sound of heaven and earth, making people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. Hearing Corpse King Uxian's words, Qinnan was stunned. It was as if he had lost his soul. After a long time, Qinnan looked at Corpse King Uxian with excitement. You've already developed your own consciousness? Yes, I could think about it yesterday. Corpse King Uxian nodded. The cold red light in her eyes gradually disappeared, revealing a pair of bright black eyes. Her large, watery eyes were filled with intelligence as she quietly looked at Qinnan. However, there was a puzzled look on her flawless face. Senior, is she the same as the invincible ancient corpse from before? How should we deal with her in this state? Qinnan asked Chu Bei for advice. Remove the death aura in her body and let her live like a normal person like little Chensi. Chu Bei's voice was calm. In the end, no matter if it's Chensi, Corpse King Uxian, or the Heaven Realm Fairy Wu Qing, their consciousness will have to merge. You still haven't answered our question. Do we know each other? The heavenly voice sounded again. At this moment, Corpse King Uxian was like a little girl who did not know anything about the world. She was a little confused, a little playful, and a little naive. I'm Qinnan, your Uxian. 10,000 years ago, We met and became friends. You're the love of my life. Chin-Nan reached out and stroked Corpse King Yu Xian's hair. Chin-Nan, Yu Xian, such familiar names. But why can't I remember? Corpse King Yu Xian didn't resist Chin-Nan's hand. Her fairy-like face was filled with confusion. Big sister, I seem to be able to sense your thoughts. Little Dawn floated in front of Zombie King Yu Xian and blinked her big eyes. Sister, I want a hug. Yes, I can feel your thoughts too. Zombie King Yu Xian looked at Little Dawn curiously. The moment she hugged Little Dawn, both of their bodies emitted a faint rainbow glow. Master, the two of them were originally transformed from the same person. Right now, it's just that their bodies are resonating with each other. Before Chin-Nan could finish, Chu-Bei waved his hand, indicating that there was no need to be nervous. Then how can we get rid of the death aura in her body? Chin-Nan asked. Leave the rest to me. After saying that, Chu-Bei gently carried little Chen-Si back. Chen-Si, be good. Go play with little Long Long first. Master, you can't hurt Big Sister. She's different from those ancient corpses. Big Sister is very nice. Little Chen-Si was afraid that Chu-Bei would hurt Zombie King Yu Xian, so she reminded him repeatedly before flying away. Activate the Tai Chi God Demon diagram. Chu-Bei looked back at Chin-Nan. All right. Chin-Nan didn't ask further and did as he was told. After a while, a light flashed on Chin-Nan's chest. 2 light balls rushed out of his body and started to spin around each other. They quickly formed a Tai Chi God Demon diagram and hung above his head. At the same time, Chu-Bei pointed at Zombie King Yu Xian's forehead and a divine glow seeped into her body. Suddenly, a dense death aura spread out from Zombie King Yu Xian's body. The death aura in Zombie King Yu Xian's body was extremely dense. In just a few seconds, the entire manor was filled with demonic clouds and yin qi. It was as creepy as hell. Fortunately, just as the death aura was about to spread, the Tai Chi God Demon diagram released a strong suction force and started to absorb it. Chu-Bei kept forcing the death aura out of Zombie King Yu Xian's body while Chin-Nan kept absorbing the death aura with the Tai Chi God Demon diagram. It was a continuous process. Is he okay? Zombie King Yu Xian pursed her lips and pointed at Chin-Nan with her slender arm. She looked worried. Don't worry. Your death aura is nothing compared to the death aura in the cemetery of gods and devils. Chu-Bei smiled. As time passed, Zombie King Yu Xian's face gradually became rosy. Although she was still not angry, she could no longer feel the disgusting and chilling death aura. This was a very mysterious state. It was either a living person nor a dead person. 15 minutes later, Chu-Bei withdrew the energy that had invaded Zombie King Yu Xian's body. The death aura in her body had been completely cleared. As for Chin-Nan, he sat cross-legged and entered a mysterious state. The Tai Chi God Demon diagram was purifying the death aura crazily and the pill of light was rotating rhythmically. Boom! Along with a low muffled sound, Chin-Nan opened his eyes. At the same time, his aura increased by another level. He's really a monster blessed by the heavens. He broke through again. Not far away, Chu Aoi Foam and the others noticed Chin-Nan's soaring aura and were jealous. Chin-Nan's cultivation had reached rank 5 Mahayana stage. He would reach rank 6 with one more step. Master, how is she? As soon as Chin-Nan opened his eyes, he couldn't wait to ask about Zombie King Yu Xian's condition. Chu-Bei smiled and said, You can see her as a little Chen-Si who has grown up. Am I called Yu Xian from now on? I like this name. Zombie King Yu Xian murmured softly. Master, since you've accepted Chen-Si, why don't you accept her too? Chin-Nan hesitated for a moment before looking at Chu-Bei with a pleading look in his eyes. That's what I was thinking. Chu-Bei smiled knowingly. 1 minute later, Host signed a contract with Zombie King Yu Xian. Progress of rank 14 commodity authority activation is 60%. Mission 6. Host received the Great Dragon Saber and signed a contract with Catherine. After the mission is completed, Host will be rewarded with the right to use a rank 16 commodity. The system's voice sounded. Looking at the new red dot marked on the map, Chu Bei had a new goal. Senior, it's getting late. Why don't you continue to stay at my God Wind Academy tonight? At this time, Yi Feng came forward and respectfully invited Chu Bei. Chu Ao and the others followed closely behind. Thank you? Chu Bei nodded and thanked him. He then looked at Chen Nan and said, Have a good talk with her today. We'll continue on our journey tomorrow. Yes, thank you, Master. Chen Nan clasped his fist and bowed deeply. This team is getting stronger and stronger. Chu Bei glanced around and couldn't help but sigh. When he left the graveyard of gods and devils, it was only him and Chen Nan. But now, there was little Chenxi, Dragon Baby, and Zombie King Yu Xian in the team. From now on, there will be no more chasing corpse sect. Yes, this time it's really destroyed. Unfortunately, in the end, I still don't understand why that young man knows the Zombie King. And that young man's master, where did he come from? I really envy the God Wind Academy and the royal family of Chu Country. They can actually make friends with such a powerful existence. Sigh, if I can get his guidance, I'm willing to give up 10 years of my life. A group of cultivators looked at the backs of Chu Bei, Yi Feng, and the others leaving with envy and jealousy in their eyes. There was no lack of vice principals of the other 3 academies among them. God Wind Academy, deep inside the academy. The green bamboos swayed, as if they were carved out of jade, fresh and beautiful. More than a dozen small courtyards dotted the bamboo forest. Near Chinan's courtyard, there was green grass and fresh flowers, refreshing the heart. It was like a paradise. In the pavilion, Zombie King Yu Xian and Chenxi, one big and one small, were unusually intimate. Their crisp laughter was unceasing. The more I look, the more they look alike. Dragon Baby lay on Chinan's shoulder, its eyes switching back and forth between Yu Xian and Chenxi. It smacked its lips from time to time. Master, will people who cultivate the art of unruffled emotions really become incomparably heartless? Chen Nan asked Chu Bei with a serious expression. Meeting Chen Nan's gaze, Chu Bei smiled. Although the current Yu Xian is known as the merciless fairy in the heaven realm, there is still a remnant of her spiritual consciousness from 10,000 years ago. If you can awaken this spiritual consciousness, you can reunite. Master, how do I go to the heaven realm? Chen Nan asked. When the time is right, I'll bring you there. Chu Bei gave Chen Nan a look that told him not to be anxious. The next day, at dawn, Chu Bei bade farewell to Yi Feng and the others and set off with Chen Nan, Yu Xian, and the others. The destination of his trip was a place called the Eternal Forest. Brother, something below seems to be calling me. It's the same feeling as before. When they were flying in the sky, little Chenxi suddenly pulled Chen Nan's arm, pouted her little mouth, and pointed below. The same feeling as before? Hearing little Chenxi's words, Chen Nan's body trembled slightly, and he quickly said, Is it at the chasing corpse sex manor? The feeling of Sister Yu Xian calling you? Yes. Little Chenxi pursed her lips and nodded. I also feel the calling from below. At this moment, the Zombie King Yu Xian also spoke up. After knowing that the Zombie King Yu Xian also felt the same, Chen Nan's face was full of shock, and he immediately looked at Chu Bei. Master, why is that? Isn't Yu Xian in the heaven realm? How can the two of them feel the calling from below? Chu Bei stood in the void, and the corner of his mouth held a faint smile, pointed below, and said, I forgot to tell you, Yu Xian doesn't only have one incarnation, Chenxi. I brought you here because of her. Another incarnation? Chen Nan was stunned, and he was even more shocked. Back then, she was being hunted down, and was severely injured. In order to seek help from the Goddess of Life, she went to the elf tribe. After that, the Goddess of Life used the power of the Tree of Life to heal her severely injured body. In the Tree of Life, she left a seed, which is another incarnation. Chu Bei said calmly. Yu Xian was being hunted down. Who? Chen Nan clenched his fists, and his face instantly turned gloomy, and a majestic murderous aura seeped out of his body. The Du family forced her to marry a martial god, but she refused and resisted with all her might, so she was hunted down. Chu Bei replied calmly. Those ungrateful bastards, they deserve to die. The murderous intent in Chen Nan's eyes intensified. After finding Yu Xian, the first thing to do is to slaughter their family. Chapter 372. Master, let's go down quickly. I can feel that she's scared, very scared. Little Dawn shook Chu Bei's arm with a pitiful look. Chu Bei patted Dawn's little head, then turned into a golden light and dived down with the group. Below them was an endless forest. Although the sun was high up in the sky, the forest still gave off a gloomy feeling. Looking down from above, there seemed to be layers of demonic shadows lingering in the forest. The more they looked, the more they couldn't see anything clearly. The closer they got, the more they could feel the bone-piercing chill in the forest. Falling into the forest, Chen Nan, Dawn, and the others' vision gradually became blurry, as if they had walked into a huge shadow. It was as if they weren't in a continuous forest, but an extremely empty and silent land of death. Senior, where is this? It feels so scary. The baby dragon looked around and shrank its neck as it approached Chu Bei. A lost world, also known as the Eternal Forest. Chu Bei recalled various rumors about the Eternal Forest. A lost world? Is it an existence similar to the Land of Death? Chen Nan asked. Boom! Without waiting for Chu Bei to reply to Chen Nan, a thunderous sound suddenly came from underground, and then the earth started to shake. The gloomy and silent atmosphere was instantly broken. Yusin, you have to be careful. I feel that something is wrong. However, before Chen Nan could finish his reminder, the seemingly ordinary wildflowers that grew around the forest started to grow rapidly as if they had been injected with hormones. The flower stalks that were originally only 20 to 30 centimeters tall grew to more than 2 meters tall in the blink of an eye. Under the crazy dancing of these flower stalks, Chen Nan, Yusin, Little Dawn, and the others were quickly drowned. Oh, these monsters are so scary! The baby dragon was the first to howl. The flower vines that wrapped around its body were like tentacles, tightly binding its dragon body. These flower vines were like sponges absorbing water, crazily devouring the dragon energy in its body. The baby dragon started to panic. It tried to break free, but even with its tier 6 strength, it couldn't break the vines. On the other hand, Little Dawn and Corpse King Yu Xian were also wrapped by the vines, but they did not look like they were in pain. It was as if nothing had happened. Master, Little Long Long and the others look very uncomfortable. Can you help them? Little Dawn looked at Chu Bei with wide eyes. This is called the red spider lily. Flowers bloom for 1,000 years, leaves fall for 1,000 years. When the flower blooms, you can't see the leaves. When there are leaves, you can't see the flower. The flower and the leaf don't see each other. As Chu Bei's calm voice rang out, endless divine light spread out like raging flames with him as the center. The red spider lilies that wrapped around the baby dragon, Chen Nan, and the others quickly turned into ashes. I was almost turned into a zombie dragon. The dragon baby that was freed from its shackles kept stepping on the ashes under its feet, madly venting its anger. Master, in the legends, isn't the red spider lily a flower that blooms on Acheron's path? I heard that there are a lot of red spider lilies on Acheron's path. From afar, it looks like a carpet of blood. The dead are guided to hell by the red spider lilies. After saying that, Chen Nan looked at Chu Bei in astonishment. Could it be that this eternal forest is the underworld? But why don't I see Acheron? In response to Chen Nan's words, Chu Bei raised his hand. The rows of trees in the direction he pointed at quickly disappeared, replaced by an endless body of water. The color of the water was very strange. It was blood-red, and the waterspouts that appeared from time to time were like ferocious beasts that wanted to devour people. It made one's heart palpitate. What kind of place is this? Acheron and the red spider lilies have appeared. If we continue to walk forward, will we really enter hell? Isn't that a place where the dead go? Why would a living dragon like us go there? The dragon baby cried out, then looked at Chu Bei with sincerity. Senior, in my opinion, we shouldn't stay here for long. Why don't you take us away from here? She's there. She's the one who's calling me. Suddenly, Corpse King Yu Xian, who had been silent all this time, opened her mouth. Her clear voice was as pleasant as an oriole's. Looking in the direction that Corpse King Yu Xian pointed at, 100 meters away, a woman was sitting on a piece of bluestone floating on the blood water. Her hands were supporting her chin as she stared at the blood water in a daze. Although it was only a silhouette, it had perfectly displayed the woman's perfect figure. Her beautiful curves were fanciful. Her clothes were whiter than snow, causing her to have a faint, otherworldly temperament. The arm supporting her chin was snow-white and translucent. Half of it was exposed outside of her clothes, causing one's imagination to run wild. Her long green hair was draped over her shoulders. Set off by her white dress, her silhouette was charming. Master, is she Yu Xian's clone? With just a glance, Chen Nan's expression changed abruptly. He turned into a flash of light and changed his angle in an instant. The woman's beauty was peerless. She had a breathtaking fairy-like appearance that was not tainted by the mortal world. She was like the reincarnation of a fairy from the ninth heaven, causing one to not have the slightest intention of profaning her. It's really her! Seeing the woman's appearance clearly, Chen Nan's body trembled. A thunderclap exploded in his mind. Elder sister, she looks exactly like you. Unknowingly, Little Dawn had already pulled Corpse King Yu Xian to Chen Nan's side. Corpse King Yu Xian did not speak. She only quietly looked at the woman in the blood water. Hurry up and leave! Don't come over. It's dangerous here. Suddenly, a trace of clarity appeared in the woman's dazed eyes. However, just as she finished speaking, her eyes became empty again. Master, what's wrong with her? Just as Chen Nan flew toward the woman, the blood water below suddenly churned. Splash! The blood water churned. With a strange rumbling sound, a huge whirlpool appeared in the blood water behind the woman. A huge ancient palace slowly emerged from the whirlpool. Someone actually came to my place. How unexpected! The door of the ancient palace opened. Heavy footsteps could be heard from within. A tall figure walked out slowly. His entire body was shining with golden light, emitting a blazing divine light. Yeah, what kind of monster is this? Baby Dragon shouted in a childish voice. Its eyes were filled with shock and its little face was full of vigilance. This was because this tall figure with flesh and blood was not complete. It was missing an important part, its head. This was an angel with 3 pairs of wings. Unlike the 2 pairs of wings of the chasing corpse sex angels, his wings were either white nor black. Instead, they shone with a golden divine light, giving people a sense of holiness. Chen Nan glanced at the calm Chu Bei not far away and frowned at the headless angel. His intuition told him that this angel was far stronger than the blood corpses refined by the chasing corpse sect. It was even stronger than the invincible ancient corpse. It was not something he could deal with. Central region of the Tianyuan continent, cemetery of the gods and devils. Outside the cemetery, tall snow maple trees were neatly arranged. The green leaves were lush. Under the gentle breeze, white petals drifted in the air like snowflakes. The fragrance of the flowers filled the air. It was intoxicating. Have they already reached there? In front of the straw hut, a skinny old man with white hair and a beard stood at the door. He held a walking stick in both hands and trembled as he looked to the west. Just as he finished muttering, the thousands of tombstones in the cemetery suddenly shook violently. Some of the tombstones were filled with divine aura. Holy light shone on every inch of the cemetery. One could see various gods transformed from the immortal and powerful divine sense of the ancient gods and demons. One could even see the angels of the west dancing and hear fairy Dongfang singing. There were also tombstones that surged with dark demonic aura. One could see the illusions of the legendary fierce gods and demons wreaking havoc in the cemetery. One could also hear the long, mournful howls of the ancient evil spirits that made one's scalp go numb. Everyone stop. At this rate, That day is not far away. The old man's face was engraved with weather-beaten wrinkles. His skinny figure was frightening to look at. His words seemed to be directed at all the tombstones in the cemetery. Not long after, the various visions on the tombstones disappeared and returned to the usual dead silence. But who could he be? I can't guess. The old man shook his head and sighed. Finally, he walked back to the straw hut with his walking stick. In the eternal forest, above the pool of blood, Chen Nan stared at the headless angel and asked tentatively, "Did you create this lost world? This world has nothing to do with me." The headless angel waved his hand. A muffled voice came from his stomach. "But this Acheron is under my control." "Then do you know who this world belongs to?" Chen Nan asked slowly. "Who knows? In any case, I can't leave this place." The headless angel's words were somewhat helpless. Then, he pointed at the girl and said, "Do you know her?" "She is my lover." Chen Nan nodded. "I wonder what happened to her. Why does she give me the feeling that she has lost her soul?" The headless angel did not directly answer Chen Nan's question. Instead, he asked a question of his own. "Before that, weren't you curious about my identity? Please tell me." Chen Nan cupped his fists. "I was once a master god of the heavenly realm. I was in charge of a region." The headless angel's voice was filled with desolation and sorrow. "However, the world is nothing but a game of chess. No matter how strong we are, even if we are masters, we are nothing more than chess pieces for the game's master. The funny thing is, I don't know if I should feel honored or sad to be chosen as a chess piece after standing out from the masses. A mere immortal martial Mahayana stage. You haven't even entered the Divine King stage. Are you worthy of being a chess piece?" Suddenly, Chu Bei's mocking laughter exploded above the pool of blood like thunder. Buzz buzz, a familiar sound suddenly rang out in Chen Nan's mind. His body trembled violently. His originally absent-minded expression became clear. "Master, was I absent-minded just now?" Chen Nan's expression was solemn. When he was talking to the headless angel, he vaguely felt that something was wrong. He felt that he could not control his body. It was as if his mind was being controlled by someone. Chapter 373. How dare this D*MN Birdman play dirty? Your grandpa Long despises despicable methods like yours the most. Despicable! No wonder he got his head chopped off. Serves him right. Chen Nan was not the only one who was affected. The dragon baby was also affected. Fortunately, it also walked out of its daze when Chu Bei called out to it. "Hurry up and leave, all of you! Not only does he have a high cultivation level, but he can also control people's minds. Don't fall for him. Leave this place immediately." The lady in the bloody water also woke up. Her voice was filled with anxiety. "Don't worry. It's fine now." Chen Nan turned into a flash of light and caught the lady behind Chu Bei. "He's not human. You're no match for him." The lady seemed to have seen how terrifying the headless angel was. She still urged Chu Bei, Chen Nan, and the others to leave. "How can you not be controlled by my mind?" The headless angel looked at Chu Bei. His voice was filled with shock. "Jia Lizi, a minor god in the heavenly realm. Your cultivation level is only at the Great Ascension stage, but you know a kind of mind-bewitching technique. Even a divine king's soul can be stolen by you if he's not on guard. The pitiful thing is, you tried to steal the Western god of war's immortal treasure, but he cut off your head and threw it into this small world." Chu Bei crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at the headless angel mockingly. "Am I wrong? You! How do you know all this? Who are you?" Hearing Chu Bei's words, the headless angel instinctively took a step back. There was a hint of fear in his voice. "Who I am has no meaning to you," Chu Bei said calmly. He waved his hand. The divine light in his body surged and formed a huge armor. The armor was hundreds of feet tall. Chu Bei stood in the center of the light armor. He took a step and appeared in the sky above the ancient palace. As soon as he said that, the armored giant made of divine light threw a punch. Black Gangchi surged toward the headless angel from his fist. It was like a surging wave, and its momentum was terrifying. Everywhere it passed, the void was shattered into pieces, and rumbling sounds could be heard. Indistinctly, purple lightning appeared on the divine light armor, and crackled incessantly. Damn it! The headless angel could not help but curse. Although he could not feel the fluctuation of primordial chi from his opponent's attack, he could sense another terrifying energy. This energy was definitely not something he could resist. He wanted to return to the ancient palace, but at this moment, his body seemed to be restrained by an invisible force. Or it could be said that no matter where he hid, his opponent's attack would be firmly locked onto him, and would always land on his body ruthlessly. There was no way to avoid it. In the end, the headless angel chose to meet the attack head-on. She gathered all the power in her right hand and raised it to strike. The dazzling palms slammed into the fist of light that was surging toward her like a raging wave. Rumble! With an earth-shattering boom, the headless angel's giant palm was instantly shattered by the fist radiance. The fist aura continued to move forward, heading straight for the headless angel. As it moved forward, the aura became even more ferocious. The rainbow behind it was like a raging river. Bang! The fist, which contained a terrifying amount of energy, landed squarely on the headless angel's body. Immediately, there was a shrill scream. The headless angel's body turned into specks of light and disappeared into the void. Master, he's not dead yet. His soul has left his body, Chen Nan hurriedly cried out. However, before his voice could spread through the air, the armor in the middle of the battlefield shook violently. A majestic aura, like that of an emperor, froze the escaping soul. In the next moment, the headless angel's soul dissipated with a bang amidst a terrified scream. Rumble! At the same time that the headless angel disappeared, the ancient palace that was floating on the blood water suddenly collapsed and slowly sank into the sea. Are you a god from the heaven realm? The young girl's eyes widened as she looked at Chu Bei in shock. Her beautiful eyes were filled with astonishment. If he was not a god from the heaven realm, how could he have defeated such a terrifying fellow? Furthermore, he had crushed him. Chen Nan, on the other hand, stared at the young girl in shock. Through his investigation, he discovered that her cultivation had reached the 6th level. When Chu Bei heard the young girl's question, he shook his head. Actually, in your so-called human world, there are many existences that can deal with it. It's just that you haven't come into contact with them. Sir, thank you for saving us. My name is Catherine, the holy maiden of the fairy tribe. 3 years ago, after I accidentally came here, I was controlled by the headless angel. The young girl stepped forward and bowed to Chu Bei. Then she pursed her lips and looked up at Chu Bei. She said, Can you take me out of here? Before I take you out, take a look at her. Chu Bei pointed at Corpse King Yu Xian with a faint smile on his face. Hearing this, Catherine looked at the Corpse King Yu Xian. Her expression froze when she saw her. Why does she look like me? Catherine suddenly took a step back and looked at Chu Bei cautiously. Her voice was trembling. Don't you feel the faint connection between you and her? Chu Bei said calmly with his hands behind his back. Hearing Chu Bei's words, Catherine calmed herself down and looked at Corpse King Yu Xian again. Her brows gradually relaxed. It's you guys! You guys were talking to me just now. She vaguely remembered that when she was in a delirious state, she felt 2 familiar auras. She tried to ask for help and actually got a response. They look exactly the same. I'm so confused. Dragon Baby's gaze switched back and forth between Corpse King Yu Xian and Catherine. If it wasn't for the fact that they were wearing different clothes, she wouldn't be able to tell them apart. If one day, and I'm saying if, you find out that you're going to fuse with someone else, will you be willing? Chen Nan, who had been standing at the side since the beginning, suddenly asked Catherine with a serious expression. Of course I'm not willing. Without any hesitation, Catherine shook her head in denial. I know, Chen Nan said softly. That's true. After all, she has her own personality. Who would be willing to do that? Don't think too far ahead. This is their own path. Let them decide for themselves. Maybe when the time is right, everything will be solved. Chubei seemed to know what Qin Nan was thinking. He patted his shoulder and said sincerely, "Master, can you bring me out?" Catherine looked at Chubei again with a pleading look in her eyes. "Do you want to know about your background? Why does someone look like you?" Chubei changed the topic. Catherine was stunned for a moment and nodded hard. "Be my disciple and receive my inheritance. You'll know the answer to all these questions." Chubei went straight to the point. "Be your disciple?" Catherine hesitated. After thinking for a moment, she looked at Corpse King Yu Xin and Little Dawn and nodded. After successfully signing Catherine, Chubei looked at the red dot on the system map. It was the location of the dragon's sword. Rumble! Just as Chubei was about to move, a deafening roar came from the opposite side of the lake. "Master, that's?" Qin Nan looked at the opposite side of the lake in a daze. There was a horrifying scene that made one's hair stand on end. A mountain of bones that was hundreds of feet tall rose from the ground. Clouds and mist surrounded the mountain of bones. The eerie white bones were terrifying, and the faint cold light was chilling. There was a huge palace on the mountain of bones. It was hundreds of feet tall. The palace was built with an unknown material. It was pitch black and shiny. The main entrance of the palace was a demon's giant mouth. It was terrifying. At a closer look, the entire palace seemed to be built with the head of a ferocious demon. It gave off an eerie and terrifying feeling. "Let's go and take a look. We'll know soon enough." Chubei clasped his hands behind his back, but just as their group arrived in front of the white bone mountain, the earth trembled, and two ancient giants ran over from the east. "Master, they're huge." Little Dawn looked at the ancient giants with her eyes shining. However, without saying anything, the ancient giants simultaneously threw punches at Chubei and the others. Bam! Before Chubei could do anything, Qin Nan had already attacked. A golden fist print sent the two ancient giants flying. "Master, is this their territory?" Qin Nan pointed in the direction where the ancient giants flew and asked. "No." Chubei shook his head. "They've been guarding this place for generations. They don't allow outsiders to enter." "What are they guarding?" Qin Nan glanced at the palace on the mountain of bones and asked. Vaguely, the open palace was pitch black. There was no light at all. Wisps of cold air were emitted. There was also a faint, strange howl. "Do you see those bones? This is the 9 nether bone formation. It uses 64 vitality condensation stones and 365 soul amassing stones as formation flags to absorb the power of heaven and earth. The 64 vitality condensation stones are distributed in 8 directions on the mountain of bones. The 365 soul amassing stones are hidden in the demonic palace." Chubei pointed at the mountain of bones and said calmly, "Go to the center of the mountain of bones, and use your talent to activate the Tai Chi God Fiend diagram." Hearing Chubei's words, Qin Nan walked to the center of the mountain of bones and activated the Tai Chi God Fiend diagram. 2 light balls flew out from his body and circled around his head and legs. The light balls spun faster and faster. Finally, they formed 2 light belts around Qin Nan's body. The light belts intertwined and formed a Tai Chi shape. The 2 light balls became the yin-yang eyes of the Tai Chi diagram. The moment the Tai Chi diagram was formed, the spiritual energy above the majestic demonic palace surged. The moonlight and the essence of heaven and earth rushed towards the Tai Chi diagram. "Master, this feels so good." Qin Nan, who was in the Tai Chi diagram, couldn't help but exclaim. Now that he was filled with spiritual energy, he felt that he would break through soon. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The mountain of bones and the demonic palace started to shake. Vaguely, there were roars coming from the underground of the demonic palace. At this moment, the warm jade in Chubei's arms flew out and trembled non-stop. "Don't worry, there will be energy for you in a while." Under Chubei's comfort, The warm jade that was nourishing Duga Shaoxian gradually calmed down. In the center of the mountain of bones, the two light balls spun faster and faster. The Tai Chi diagram had even materialized. It was like a bottomless pit that absorbed the energy of the 9 nether bone formation. Boom! Following a dull sound, Qin Nan's aura suddenly surged. He broke through from the Mahayana stage to the 6th stage. When Qin Nan's aura stabilized, the brilliance of the 64 essence condensation stones dimmed completely. Finally, they exploded into powder and dissipated in the air. It was also at this moment that a deafening roar came from underground. The deafening roar caused the mountain of bones to collapse. Master, it seems like something is coming out from there. Qin Nan stretched his body and walked quickly to Chu Bei's side. He seemed to have sensed something. Chapter 374. Boom! Just as Chu Bei was about to answer Qin Nan's question, the ground cracked, and a huge dragon rushed out from the ground and soared into the sky. It was a purple gold dragon that was hundreds of feet long. Purple light flashed all over its body as it circled in the sky, its roar shaking the heavens. Almost at the same time, the sky above the valley changed, and thunder and lightning intertwined. This was the phenomenon of a divine dragon being born. Obviously, this divine dragon's strength was several levels higher than the baby dragon's. Oh, I'm finally able to see the light of day again. Oh, the sky is so big, I can fly freely again. The purple gold dragon swung its tail excitedly. Its huge dragon body floated in the sky, greedily absorbing the essence of heaven and earth and the sun and moon while laughing wildly in human language. Little things, are you the ones who destroyed the 9 nether white bone formation? The purple gold dragon lowered its head and stared at Chu Bei and the rest with its huge dragon eyes. So it's you, ruffian dragon? Chu Bei's gaze swept across the purple gold dragon. He was stunned for a moment, then a thought-provoking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Qin Nan pointed at the purple gold dragon and asked, Master, have you seen it before? Chu Bei smiled knowingly. Did you see the golden armor on its body? That's the black tortoise armor. After hearing Chu Bei's words, Qin Nan realized that the purple gold dragon didn't have any scales other than its head, tail, and 4 claws. You guys destroyed the 9 nether white bone formation. Don't tell me you guys are after my black tortoise armor? The purple gold dragon looked as if it had heard the funniest joke in history. I'm a 5-clawed purple gold dragon, the emperor of the dragon race. No one has ever dared to snatch something from me. After saying that, the purple gold dragon proudly raised its claws and waved them in front of Chu Bei and the rest. Upon closer inspection, there were indeed 5 claws. I've just broken through, so I'll use you to practice. Qin Nan took a step forward. His left hand turned into a bow, and his right hand turned into a golden arrow. The bowstring was pulled, and the void shook. The golden light was as dazzling as the sun. Swoosh! The arrow pierced through the void and instantly appeared in front of the purple gold divine dragon's head. What the hell is this? The purple gold divine dragon's words were filled with disdain. He raised his dragon claw and slapped the arrow accurately. Clang! With a crisp sound, the golden arrow was shattered. Qin Nan's face was filled with disbelief as he watched his strongest arrow being easily shattered by his opponent. Was this purple gold divine dragon so powerful? Little fellow, that arrow of yours isn't even enough to tickle this Lord Dragon. Feeling that the dragon essence in his body was getting less and less, the purple gold divine dragon was completely flustered. He roared hysterically at Chu Bei. You still can't see the situation clearly even at this point. Chu Bei's lips curled into a playful smile. Continue, don't stop. The warm jade seemed to understand Chu Bei's words. It trembled slightly, and a dazzling light bloomed from within. The light spread and instantly enveloped the purple gold divine dragon's body. In an instant, the warm jade's devouring ability doubled. It greedily absorbed the dragon essence in the purple gold divine dragon's body like a whale swallowing a cow. Damn it! Let go of me. Bastard, hurry up and take this broken thing back. If you don't take it back, I'm going to use my ultimate move. I'll kill you until not even your bones are left. Ancient Almighty, Xiaolong knows his wrongs. Please forgive me. The purple gold divine dragon kept wailing. It evolved from its initial arrogance to begging in a low voice in the end. Even so, the warm jade that was emitting divine light was still unmoved. It continued to devour the dragon essence ferociously. As time passed, the purple gold divine dragon's body continued to shrink. 900 feet, 800 feet, 500 feet, 300 feet. Spare its life. Chu Bei's calm voice drifted in the air. The warm jade reluctantly flew back into Chu Bei's arms. At this moment, the purple gold divine dragon had shrunk to about half a meter long. If it were not for its dragon claws and dragon horns, it would be no different from an ordinary small snake. Master, it seems to have lost its combat ability. Can I torture it without restraint now? Chen Nan looked at Chu Bei and asked. Just leave it with one last breath. Chu Bei nodded in response. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the purple gold divine dragon shivered. Its originally listless appearance became even more ashen, as if there was nothing left to live for. This person, is he a demon from hell? Master, I promise to leave it with one last breath. Chen Nan responded excitedly. Then, he rubbed his palms and walked toward the purple gold divine dragon with a playful expression. His laughter was sinister. Stinky dragon, I'll let you fart, show off, be arrogant, and be arrogant. Chen Nan grabbed the purple gold divine dragon's head. As he laughed wildly, he squeezed and pulled, treating the purple gold divine dragon like noodles. To think that I was so high-spirited back then. Now that my dragon essence has dissipated and I've fallen into your hands, I'm actually being humiliated like this. The purple gold divine dragon looked up to the sky and sighed. Kid, what do you want for you to let me go? Take off the black tortoise armor. Chen Nan replied. Impossible. Even if I die, I won't give you the black tortoise armor. The purple gold divine dragon was unafraid of death. Yo, still pretending. I'll step ruthlessly, I'll step arrogantly, Chen Nan pressed the purple gold divine dragon to the ground and ruthlessly stepped on it again and again. Half an hour later, Chen Nan put on a golden soft armor. When he looked at the purple gold divine dragon again, it was already trampled beyond recognition. Little Qin Shi and baby dragon couldn't bear to look and covered their eyes. It was really too horrible to look at. Master, what kind of treasure did you use to deal with this stinky dragon just now? Chen Nan looked at Chu Bei with shining eyes. There was a hint of greed in his eyes. Hearing Chen Nan's question, the purple gold divine dragon twitched its body. Enduring the pain, it also cast its gaze on Chu Bei. It was even more curious about the origin of this thing that could suck away all of its dragon essence. Although this warm jade is just an ordinary immortal treasure, there's a heavily injured primordial god fiend living inside. Its dragon essence was used as nourishment by this primordial god fiend. At this point, Chu Bei took out the warm jade and looked at Chen Nan. Speaking of which, this primordial god fiend has a special relationship with you. Duge Xiaoxian was Duge Baiqian's youngest daughter, and Chen Nan was Duge Baiqian in his previous life. Therefore, from another perspective, Chen Nan could be considered Duge Xiaoshuan's older brother. You're saying it's related? Chen Nan stared at Chu Bei with wide eyes, waiting for him to continue. You'll know when the time is right. Chu Bei still didn't go overboard. Chen Nan pursed his lips and stopped asking. Master, how do we deal with this stinky dragon? Take it with you. You'll develop feelings for it over time. Chu Bei said calmly with his hands behind his back. What? As soon as Chu Bei finished speaking, the dragon and human exclaimed at the same time. Master, it's a useless dragon now. It'll be a burden to take it with us. It'll be helpful to you in the future. As soon as Chen Nan finished speaking, Chu Bei opened his mouth to continue. Not to mention its late-stage battle prowess, just 100 times, would give Chen Nan 3 children. All right, I'll listen to Master. In the end, Chinnan nodded helplessly. As for the purple gold divine dragon's resistance, it was much easier to deal with. Chu Bei directly threw out two options. One was to die, and the other was to follow Chinnan. The purple gold divine dragon didn't hesitate and chose the latter. Then, like a small snake, it coiled around the baby dragon. Let's go and get the great dragon saber. After subduing the purple gold divine dragon, Chu Bei patted Chinnan's shoulder and flew toward the west. Chinnan followed closely behind. Chapter 375. Master, you said the great dragon saber is here. High up in the sky, Chinnan looked at Chu Bei in astonishment. Like the Hoi Bao, the great dragon saber was also a legendary immortal treasure. Even 10,000 years ago, it was still famous. Chu Bei nodded in response and continued to fly according to the location marked on the map. Soon, they arrived in the sky above an ancient city. Master, this seems to be an abandoned ghost town. Chinnan looked down and scanned the city. It was abnormally quiet, with no one entering or leaving. From the mottled ancient city walls, it could be seen that the ancient city below had been through countless years. Even the inner walls of the diamond rock, which was said to never decay, had been weathered by the passage of time, showing the vicissitudes of life. Looking at the architectural style of the city, it was also incomparably ancient. It was impossible to tell how many years ago they were. Be careful, I can feel the pressure from the bloodline. My ancestor might be living in this city. The purple gold divine dragon seemed to have sensed something and howled. It seems to be the aura of the dragon emperor. The baby dragon nodded in agreement with the purple gold divine dragon. The aura you feel comes from the great dragon saber. As soon as his calm voice fell, Chu Bei took the lead and flew toward the square in the ancient city. Chinnan, Catherine, and the rest followed closely behind. Master, what is this place? It seems like there was a fierce battle. Arriving at the square, Chinnan frowned and his face became more serious. Looking around, there were eerie skeletons piled up in disorder. Some of them were even emitting a dim light, and emitting a terrifying aura. Obviously, these skeletons were incomparably powerful deities when they were alive. Chu Bei did not answer Chinnan's question. Instead, he pointed at a pile of ruins not far away. Chinnan was stunned at first. Then, as if he understood Chu Bei's meaning, he immediately went forward and rummaged through the pile of ruins. Clang! Accompanied by the sound of metal clanging, Chinnan lifted a huge rock. Below it was a rusty rotten saber. Master, is this rotten saber the great dragon saber? It doesn't look like it. Chinnan glanced at the rotten saber and pursed his lips. What kind of joke is this? If these are all great dragon sabers, then even a casual spit from me would be a divine artifact. The purple gold dragon god extended its claw and pointed at the broken saber at Chinnan's feet. It laughed heartily. Master, I didn't expect you to miscalculate. The surface of the rotten knife under Chinnan's feet was covered in rust, and it was as densely packed as a fishing net. There were also countless small holes on the handle of the knife, and the front and back of the knife were transparent. Chu Bei looked at Chinnan playfully and said with a smile, "You brought it to me." Chinnan nodded slightly, then reached out his hand to grab the hilt, attempting to pick it up. However, the moment Chinnan grasped the hilt of his sword, he knew that he was wrong. Even with his Tier 6 strength, he was unable to shake the ladder in the slightest. The ladder was as immovable as a black iron boulder. It's just a broken saber. Can't you pick it up? The purple gold divine dragon looked at Chinnan in confusion. After saying that, it flew to the side of the broken saber and used all its strength to swing its mini dragon body and hit the saber hilt. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The moment the purple gold divine dragon hit the saber hilt, the originally rusty blade suddenly exploded with a dazzling light. In the next moment, a huge dragon roar exploded like wild thunder. The roar seemed to contain a kind of anger. In an instant, the purple gold divine dragon and Chinnan, who were closest to the saber, were sent flying by an invisible force. Then, under everyone's gaze, the rusty saber flew into the sky and transformed into a dragon body. 1,000-meter-long azure dragon hovered in the sky above the square. Its huge head was facing the purple gold divine dragon. It opened its mouth and roared continuously, filled with supreme majesty. Old ancestor, Oh no, little dragon's behavior just now was not intended to offend you. I only wanted to help you loosen up your muscles and bones. Everything was done out of kindness. Seeing this scene, the purple gold divine dragon hurriedly prostrated on the ground, pretending to be pitiful. Under the tyrannical pressure of the azure dragon, it slowly moved its body closer to Chu Bei. Right now, only this mysterious expert could save its dragon life. It never imagined that the once awe-inspiring great dragon saber would become like this. Oh, my ancestor! Lord Dragon Emperor, little dragon is really lucky to be able to see you once. Looking at the 1,000-foot-long divine dragon above, the baby dragon widened its eyes and immediately bowed devoutly in the air. In the sky above the square, the dragon's roar continued. The purple gold divine dragon moved its body and came behind Chu Bei. Its body trembled like a loach as it looked at the azure dragon above its head in horror. The dragon's saber has a spirit. You two looked down on it before, so it naturally won't let you pick it up. Chu Bei glanced at Chen Nan and then held the purple gold divine dragon in his hand. Especially you actually took the initiative to attack it. This is a public humiliation. Master, I know I was wrong. Please help me beg the old ancestor for mercy. The purple gold divine dragon looked at Chu Bei with a face full of fear. The azure dragon above it exerted an instinctive pressure on it. It was fear that came from the bottom of its heart. Chu Bei threw the purple gold divine dragon back to the ground and then looked up at the azure dragon above. His face revealed a look of pity. You're seriously injured. The azure dragon's 1,000-foot-long dragon body was covered in blood. Countless wounds were torn open, and it was a ghastly sight. Dense bloody holes pierced through its body, causing the front and back to be transparent. It was a horrible sight to behold. Oh my God, Dragon Emperor, who did this? How could they injure you to this extent? The baby dragon moved to Chu Bei's side with a face full of anger. The azure dragon seemed to have heard the baby dragon's words. Its huge body, which was like a chain of mountains, kept rolling. The rumbling sound shattered the void, and dense cracks spread out from the void. The dragon's roar was mixed with pain, as if it was venting the pain in its heart. As the Eastern Divine Dragon, you've done your best. The final battle is coming. With your current recovery speed, I'm afraid you won't be able to make it in time. Chu Bei put his hands behind his back and looked at the azure dragon calmly, pretending to be an expert. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the azure dragon's eyes suddenly focused. Its huge bloodshot eyes locked onto Chu Bei. Then, it opened its mouth wide, and the dragon's roar became louder and louder, filled with a strong sense of unwillingness. Your origin is too badly injured. It's difficult for you to recover by yourself. If you follow me and let me heal you, you can still make it in time for the final battle. Chu Bei looked at the 1,000-foot-long azure dragon calmly. As he spoke, he waved his sleeve, and a ball of dragon vitality that he obtained from the All Heavens Merchant City flowed along the azure dragon. As the dragon vitality was transferred to the countless wounds, the azure dragon's body gradually calmed down, and the pain on its face gradually reduced. Thank you? A hint of gratitude appeared in the 1,000-foot-long azure dragon's eyes. Its huge head turned toward Chu Bei. After spitting out 2 syllables with difficulty, a dragon's roar reverberated throughout the ancient city. Then, the azure dragon's 1,000-foot-long dragon body turned into a ray of light and swept into Chu Bei's body. Host has signed a contract with the first-grade proxy Catherine and received the Great Dragon Saber. Mission completed. Progress of activating the Level 14 Commodity Authority is 70%. Host is rewarded with the right to use a Level 16 commodity once. Mission 7. Host enters the Heavenly Realm and signs a contract with the first-grade proxy Merciless Fairy. When the Great Dragon Saber entered Chu Bei's body, the system's voice sounded. With the completion of the mission, Chu Bei now had the right to use a level 16 commodity twice. Master, what about the great dragon saber? Qin Nan asked tentatively. It has chosen to follow me. Chu Bei replied calmly. You really scared me to death. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the purple gold divine dragon returned to its previous ruffian appearance and lay on the baby dragon's body carelessly. The East. I want to go there. At that moment, a piece of warm jade flew out from Chu Bei's arms. A woman's intermittent voice was heard. That's not a safe place. Looking at the direction Dugu Xiaoxian was pointing at and combining it with the system map, he already knew where Dugu Xiaoxian wanted to go. It was also because he knew that he was hesitating. Once he went there, the entire human world and even the heavenly realm would be in an immeasurable uproar. Bring me there! Dugu Xiaoxian's intermittent voice was heard again. Her words were filled with pleading. After thinking for a moment, Chu Bei sighed faintly. Since he had the right to use a level 16 commodity, he would satisfy her request. After making the decision, Chu Bei immediately moved. He held the warm jade and brought Qin Nan and the others to the east. As they continued to go deeper, the scenery in this dead world gradually became lively, and the greenery became thicker. The only thing that did not change was that they still could not see any ferocious beasts. After flashing towards the east for nearly 1,000 kilometers, Chu Bei stopped. The area below was already like a fairyland. Jade flowers bloomed, fragrant grass covered the ground, and clear springs gurgled. It was a delightful scenery. Master, those are snow maple trees! Smelling the familiar refreshing fragrance, Qin Nan looked over. When he found the source of the fragrance, his expression froze and his eyes focused. He saw countless tall snow maple trees with lush branches and green leaves standing in the mountains. Countless snow-white petals decorated the branches and leaves, like snowflakes blooming. To Qin Nan, the snow maple tree was a plant that left a deep impression on him. This was because he had only seen it in the graveyard of the gods and devils. Master, didn't they say that the snow maple trees were formed by the spiritual energy of the gods and devils that had passed away? Why are there so many of them here? Qin Nan was confused. You'll know when we get down. As his calm voice fell, Chu Bei led the group behind him and flew over the tall snow maple trees. How? How is this possible? After a long while, Qin Nan looked at the scene in front of him in shock. His eyes were filled with disbelief. There were rows and rows of tall tombstones. The layout was almost exactly the same as the graveyard of the gods and devils that he had revived in. Holy light shrouded the tombstones. 8-winged angels were dancing on them. There were also chief gods holding golden holy swords wandering around. Clearly, these were all illusions formed by the powerful divine consciousness of the deceased gods and devils. Master, why? Why is there also a graveyard of the gods and devils here? Qin Nan's gaze was fixed on Chu Bei. Chapter 376. Could it be that this place was once the battlefield of the gods? Qin Nan voiced out his guess. He really wanted to know what happened between these gods and demons. What kind of era was the War of the Heavens era? Oh my God! I feel the auras of many of my kind here. The baby dragon carefully ran to Chu Bei's side. In such a place, it realized that only by sticking close to this mysterious expert would it feel more at ease. The purple gold dragon was also dumbfounded. Looking at the tomb of the gods and demons, its pupils dilated rapidly. So many powerful existences. Even at my peak, I was no match for them. Even such powerful existences would die, and a large number of them would die. Oh my God, what happened in this damned place? Catherine was also incomparably shocked. I heard from the elves in the clan that there is a tomb of the gods and demons in the middle of the continent. There are eastern immortals and western gods and demons buried there. I didn't expect there to be such a tomb of the gods and demons in the eternal forest. I just don't know which of the two tombs of the gods and demons is bigger. You will know some things about the War of the Heavens era in the future. Chu Bei continued to perfunctorily talk to Chen Nan. Just as he finished speaking, Wen Yu, who was staying with Dugu Xiaoxian, took the lead and flew in a direction. Seeing this, Chu Bei and the rest quickly followed and arrived at the deepest part of the tomb of the gods and demons. This was a thatched hut similar to the one in the tomb of the gods and demons in the center of the Tianxian continent. Pushing open the door, the furnishings inside were very simple. There was only a bed, a table, a chair, and a stone platform. There was nothing else. Master, now it seems that the tomb keeper is not simple. Chen Nan thought of the hunchbacked old man and could not help but sigh. What do you think? Chu Bei smiled noncommittally. He was more than just not simple. The other party was formed by the life and death plate, and had the strength of a peak heaven stage. He was one of the most powerful beings in this world. At the same time, he was also the master who imprisoned the great god Dugu Baitian's wife, Xianxian. Look, that demon stopped there! The purple gold dragon was clearly still holding a grudge against Wen Yu for devouring his dragon essence, and calling him a demon. At this moment, Wen Yu was hovering on a stone platform in the house, emitting a faint purple fluorescence. The stone platform was strangely shaped, very much like the general appointing platform. On one side of it, there were 2 lines of carvings. Upon closer inspection, they were 2 shocking sentences. Billions of living beings as soldiers, millions of gods and devils as generals. Master, this should be an immortal treasure! Chen Nan pointed at the general appointing platform and couldn't help but ask Chu Bei. When he saw the 2 imposing lines, his heart inexplicably surged with a desire to fight. Chu Bei shook his head. To be precise, this should be a precious treasure of the heavens and the earth, and it was far more formidable than an immortal treasure. The general appointing platform was refined by the Devil Master. As for the Demon Lord, even in the upcoming final battle, he would still be one of the 4 strongest experts. Under the gazes of Chen Nan, Catherine, and the others, Chu Bei slowly stepped forward and placed his right hand flat on the stone platform. In the next moment, the stone platform trembled violently, and before anyone could react, it rapidly expanded. Rumble! With a loud bang, the thatched cottage was crushed by the stone platform. In just a few seconds, the stone platform expanded to a radius of 1,000 feet, carrying Chu Bei and the others into the sky. At the same time, a majestic and unfathomable power erupted, vast and mighty in this small world. Chu Bei and the others stood on the general appointing platform and scanned the millions of tombstones below. Rumble! The general appointing platform swayed, bringing with it a shocking rumble. Surging demonic aura surged out and poured down towards the cemetery below. This terrifying power was like the heavens pressing down on the earth. This small world began to tremble as if it would be destroyed at any moment. Under the shroud of the demonic aura, the cemetery of gods and devils below began to shake violently. The tombs began to slowly crack as pairs of hands reached out from the ground. What the hell is this? It's too scary. The baby dragon shrank its neck. Amidst the rumbling, the general appointing platform moved. Just as it was about to land in the cemetery, the entire cemetery of gods and devils erupted. Loud roars came from the ancient cemetery. The terrifying roars of gods and devils seemed to connect heaven and earth, reaching the 3 realms and 6 paths. Roar! The terrifying roars were like evil spirits from hell that were about to rush out of their cages. The ground rumbled and trembled continuously. The souls of the dead gods and devils that had yet to dissipate seemed like they were about to rush out. The entire cemetery of gods and devils was in an uproar. At the same time, whether it was the heaven realm or the human realm, a huge commotion happened in many holy lands and sections. In the central region of the Tianyuan continent, in the cemetery of gods and devils, the dead gods and devils that had originally calmed down emerged from the ground once again. They floated above the snow maple tree and let out mournful howls as illusions wreaked havoc. The gods are dead, the demons are destroyed, the sky is shattered, the earth is collapsing. The gravekeeper old man walked out of the thatched cottage leisurely with his walking stick. He looked to the west and muttered to himself. The general appointing platform has also appeared because of you. What else do you want to do? Upon closer inspection, there was a reflection in the gravekeeper old man's eyes. The reflection showed the scene of Chu Bei and the others standing on the general appointing platform. In the eastern part of the Tianyuan continent, in the Tantai ancient sacred land. In the forbidden area, a black-clothed man flew out in a panic and barged into the main hall of the sacred land. His voice trembled as he said, "Sacred Lord, something bad has happened. The sealed demons are rebelling, and a phenomenon has appeared in the sealed land. Please go out and take a look." Hearing this, the man's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly stood up from his seat and soared into the air. He took the lead and flew out of the hall. The others in the hall followed closely behind. At this moment, the disciples and elders of the Tantai ancient sacred land put down what they were doing and looked at the sky above the forbidden area. In the sky above the forbidden area, demonic chi surged into the sky. At this moment, a vivid scene was playing out. In the scene, a group of people stood on a huge stone platform. Strange phenomena appeared around the stone platform. Below were thousands of collapsed tombstones. Ghostly shadows wreaked havoc, and terrifying illusions filled the air. What is that place? What happened? It looks like the cemetery of gods and devils in the center of the continent. Could it be there? The cemetery of gods and devils isn't far from here, and we have people monitoring it at all times. If it's really there, the brothers outside should have already sent out the news. Who are they? And that huge stone platform, is that an immortal artifact? It can actually fly on its own. Shouldn't we be more concerned about the illusions appearing in those tombstones? There's even a 12-winged angel. What a terrifying existence. What I don't understand is why this scene is projected in the sky above the forbidden area. I wonder if the other sacred lands have such a phenomenon. In the Tantai ancient sacred land, a group of disciples gathered in twos and threes to discuss the scene above the forbidden area. What did Old Six say? The sacred land sect master looked back at the black-clothed man behind him. Although the cemetery of gods and devils also emitted mournful howls, I didn't see this stone platform. It shouldn't be the same place. The black-clothed man said respectfully. Could it be that there are really two cemetery of gods and devils? The sacred land sect master frowned. It's them. But at this moment, a woman in snow-white clothes next to the sacred land sect master exclaimed. "Kur, do you know them?" The sacred land sect master hurriedly asked. "Master, do you see the man standing at the front? He's the mysterious person I mentioned to you before who casually killed the invincible ancient corpses." As for the black-clothed youth behind him, he's the one who obtained the inheritance of the nameless fiend god. Menkur bit her lip and pointed at Chu Bei. What is this person trying to do? After listening to Menkur, the sacred land sect master frowned. I'm afraid that the continent that has been peaceful for many years will once again become chaotic because of him. At the same time, in the God Wind Academy, Chu Eo looked at the scene that suddenly appeared in the sky in disbelief, and the corners of his mouth could not help but twitch. What is Senior doing? I feel that something big is going to happen soon. Chu Yu's eyes were filled with confusion. Where are they? It seems to be very similar to the cemetery of gods and devils. Those fiend gods who have been dead for thousands of years have emerged from the ground. Are they coming back from the dead? Yifeng took a deep breath. For thousands of years, our Academy's Wan Chuan mirror has never acted strangely. But today, such a scene was reflected, and the person shown in the image was that mysterious senior of unknown origin. But begging him to appear is a blessing for us, not a curse. West of Tianyuan continent, Church of Light. The 18 levels of hell below the temple trembled violently, and demonic howls shook the sky. The clergymen, like the people of the Tantai sacred land, looked up in horror at the sky above the temple. Pope, the 18 levels of hell are rioting, and those sealed fiend gods in history are about to rush out. This is not something we can stop. those powerful fiend gods should not have stayed in our human world. If they really rush out, the people of the heaven realm will take action. The old man who was called the Pope did not have much panic on his face. After speaking, he frowned and looked at Chu Bei and the others in the image, sighing. Now, the eternal forest is no longer peaceful, and chaos is not far away. Not only the Tantai-sacred land and Western sect, but many ancient forces on the continent also inexplicably showed the same scene. If Chu Bei knew all this, he would definitely shout that he was being broadcasted live in this world. Heaven Realm, West. In the Temple of the Goddess of Wisdom, 6 figures sat in 2 rows in an orderly manner. At this moment, the 6 people's gazes were cast on the scene in front of them. Their actions all revealed the aura of a superior. What do you think about this? The Goddess of Wisdom, Grace, frowned and turned to look at the other 5 gods beside her. The information from below says that this cemetery is not the one we know. In my opinion, it should be in the 3rd world. The Goddess of Life said calmly. It's a pity that we can't see their cultivation just by looking at the image. The God of Thunder narrowed his eyes, the thunder hammer in his hand crackling non-stop. However, the stone platform under their feet seems to be a treasure with the power to destroy the world. Chapter 377. The Eternal Forest. Just as the various forces of the heaven realm and the human realm were paying attention to the scene, in the sky above the 2nd graveyard of gods and demons, Chen Nan, Catherine, and the others were extremely shocked. Oh my God, I didn't expect this lousy stone to be so capable. The baby dragon grabbed Chu Bei's arm tightly with both hands as it blinked its large eyes. If it wasn't for the pain from slapping itself, it would have thought that it was having a nightmare. On the other hand, the ruffian-like purple-gold divine dragon had a solemn expression on its face. It was rare for it to be serious. It lay quietly on the baby dragon's back, solemnly sizing up the tombs of gods and demons below. Master, I feel that there's an invisible force restraining them, preventing them from escaping their respective tombs. Chen Nan sensed some clues and probed Chu Bei. In the tombs below, thousands of sharp claws were dancing. Some were badly mutilated, and some were covered in white bones. They were like layers of waves, but no matter how they struggled or howled, they were unable to completely leave the tombstones. Just as Chen Nan finished speaking, before Chu Bei could answer, the general appointing stone beneath his feet shook. In the next moment, 2 lines on one side of the general appointing stone were projected into the sky, emitting endless blood light. Almost at the same time, a majestic voice that seemed to come from the primordial era resounded in this world. Billions of living beings as soldiers, millions of gods and demons as generals. As the majestic voice sounded, a strange scene happened below. Plop! Plop! Millions of gods and demons emerged from the tombs below, and knelt down towards the general appointing platform in unison. They were mumbling something, and all of them were extremely pious. Although they had been dead for tens of thousands of years, there was still a lingering fighting spirit on their bodies. Amidst this majestic voice that seemed to come from the ancient times, the fighting spirit became even stronger. Who were these gods and demons fighting tens of thousands of years ago? Who killed them? Catherine's face was a little pale. She glanced at the general appointing platform beneath her feet. What exactly is it? To be able to make so many gods and demons submit and kneel down? In the end, Catherine's gaze landed on Chu Bei's figure in front of her. In her opinion, perhaps only this mysterious person knew the cause and effect of this. Master, where is the heaven you speak of? How strong is he? Could it be that these gods and devils all died while fighting the heavens? Also, what is the origin of the stone platform under our feet? Chen Nan glanced at the gods and devils kneeling before him. He could no longer maintain his calm. His originally calm state of mind was instantly shaken. Chu Bei pointed at the distant sky, and his expression became serious. The heavenly Tao has always been there. It's just that your cultivation isn't high enough, and you think that the sky is just the sky. After coming to the divine tomb plane, Chu Bei had some guesses in his heart. Including the demon lord, the ghost lord, and the others, the heavens should be limited to the divine tomb plane. Beyond that, there was an even vaster region that could accommodate all the planes in the universe. However, in comparison, the plane where the divine tomb was situated was more powerful than the Dolua and Dolua planes, but weaker than the shrouding sky and journey to the West Plains. Now that he had personally witnessed the commotion caused by the Devil Lord's general appointing platform, Chu Bei's heart was still in turmoil. As expected of one of the real plotters behind the scenes. In the distant sky, the two blood-red words became brighter and brighter. In the end, they intersected and enlarged infinitely, projecting themselves above the entire small world. No matter where one was, as long as one looked up, they would be able to see these blood-red words. Billions of living beings as soldiers, millions of gods and devils as generals. The majestic voice still drifted between heaven and earth. At the same time, everyone in the heaven realm and the human world who saw this scene and heard this majestic voice felt a huge sense of sorrow. At this moment, it seemed that everyone was affected by this emotion, and their hearts were inexplicably filled with despair. I remember now. My name is Duga Xiaoxian. I want to fight alongside you. At this moment, the warm jade in front of Chu Bei suddenly released a gorgeous light, and a clear female voice sounded from it. Then, it trembled slightly, and under several gazes, a woman's figure floated out. The woman was dressed in a purple robe. She was elegant, and had an aura of lightness about her. The one who sucked my dragon essence dry wasn't that demon, but you. But looking at you, you can be considered a beauty. The appearance of the woman caused the purple gold divine dragon to roar. Do you want to die? Dugu Xiaoxian coldly glanced at the purple gold divine dragon, and a superior aura seeped out from her body, and an unparalleled pressure enveloped the purple gold divine dragon. Meeting Dugu Xiaoxian's cold gaze, the purple gold divine dragon shrunk its neck and hurriedly hid behind Chu Bei. It didn't dare to let out a fart, and its cowardly look looked like it had met its love. Brother, so there's a big sister hidden in Master's jade. No wonder Master kept talking to the jade. Little Qinshi stayed in Qinnan's arms, blinking her big eyes and curiously sizing up Dugu Xiaoxian. Dugu Xiaoxian looked at little Qinshi and nodded with a smile. When her gaze shifted to Qinnan, her expression first froze, and then her body suddenly trembled. Dugu Xiaoxian seemed to be in a daze. After a long while, she softly murmured, Brother, in this life, he's called Qinnan, not your brother. Chu Bei placed his hands behind his back and smiled at Dugu Xiaoxian calmly. I don't know who you are, but thank you for bringing me here. If it weren't for that Lochu's dragon essence and the general appointing platform's aura, I'm afraid my memories would only awaken after another 1,000 years. Dugu Xiaoxian nodded slightly at Chu Bei. She intentionally sent a powerful divine sense towards Chu Bei, but this divine sense did not return. In the next moment, a solemn expression appeared on Dugu Xiaoxian's face. Her probing was actually useless. That person whom she couldn't see through directly ignored her attack, especially when the other party looked at her with an expression that was extremely similar to how her father used to look at her. It was a kind of teasing and indifferent attitude, treating what she was doing as a child playing around. Did you just call me brother? Qinnan came back to his senses and recalled Dugu Xiaoxian's previous call. He looked straight at her, his eyes filled with deep confusion. You can pretend that you didn't hear it. With your current strength, there are some things that the less you know, the better. Dugu Xiaoxian glanced at Qinnan and pointed at Chu Bei. Senior, I've already told you enough. Although Dugu Xiaoxian didn't test Chu Bei's strength, she was very sure that this person was either the reincarnation of a primordial god with his past memories or an ancient god who had survived the War of the Heavens era. Strength again. Qinnan mocked with an ugly expression. What kind of cultivation base do I have to reach to know the secrets from 10,000 years ago? Chu Bei and Dugu Xiaoxian didn't reply. To Qinnan, there was still a long, long way to go. The Church of Light. Rumble. The temple in the center of the church suddenly shook. Demonic aura surged from the ground, and a murderous aura soared into the sky. Not good! The Pope and the clergy hurriedly flew out of the hall. When they saw the demonic aura that enveloped half the sky, their expressions changed. Pope, what's going on? Seal it first! The Pope shouted. Without any hesitation, the clergy immediately unleashed their radiant saint force and worked together to seal the divine hall. In an instant, countless rays of dazzling light shone from all directions, enveloping the divine temple below. However, the 7 most powerful people in the church, including the Pope, couldn't stop the temple from shaking. They couldn't dispel the murderous aura that soared into the sky from the ground. One of the clergy kept moving his hands, his palms crisscrossing. He was puzzled. Pope, what's going on with such a powerful and terrifying murderous aura? Could it be that some ancient demon sealed in the 18th layer of hell is about to break out? Faced with the terrifying demonic aura surging from the ground, even with his peak rank 6 strength, he felt powerless and couldn't help but tremble in fear. The Pope shook his head and said in a serious tone, "This murderous aura doesn't come from an ancient demon. If it's not a sealed demon, then?" Hearing the Pope's words, the clergy looked at him and asked anxiously, "Demon suppression stone." The Pope sighed and began to recount the secrets passed down from the previous popes to the next one. The people of the continent know that there are 18 layers of hell under the headquarters of the Church of Light, but they don't know that the 18 layers of hell are a strange multi-layered space created by an ancient great power. It's also a place to imprison the most vicious people in the world. The 18 layers of hell actually appeared before the Church of Light. 10,000 years ago, the Temple of Light was set up here to guard the 18 layers of hell. The terrifying fiend gods imprisoned in the 18 levels of hell are far stronger than we can ever hope to match up to. Fortunately, when the church was just established, a 3-meter-tall demon stone flew from the sky and landed on the 18 layers of hell. When that demon stone landed, the riot in the 18 layers of hell quieted down. It seemed to have suppressed the demons imprisoned in hell. For this reason, the Temple of Light used this stone as the foundation to build the present Temple of Light. The clergy was surprised. "Your Holiness, you mean that the riot was caused by the demon suppression stone?" Without waiting for the Pope to speak, the hall exploded. An unparalleled terrifying energy sent the Pope and the other 6 clergy elders flying. In the next moment, the hall collapsed completely, and a section of a huge black rock appeared. This huge stone seemed to be able to absorb light. After it appeared, the originally bright sky instantly dimmed. Looking at it carefully, this black stone was like a bottomless pit. Just looking at it made one feel like they had lost their soul. It was as if it could devour one's mind. "It's out." The Pope stared at the black stone, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Kaboom! Another loud sound, and the earth trembled. Then, the demon suppression stone rose from the ground and turned into a long rainbow, completely disappearing from the sight of the Pope and the clergy. "Your Holiness, quickly look at that image." In the blink of an eye, one of the clergy pointed to the sky and cried out. The Pope looked up, and when he saw the image clearly, his expression froze. The demon suppression stone that had disappeared a second ago was now inserted in the center of the graveyard of gods and demons, like a huge tombstone. "Master, what is this? Where did it come from?" On the general appointing platform, Chen-Nan pointed at the black stone that had suddenly been inserted in the center of the graveyard of gods and demons. He looked at Chu Bei with a puzzled gaze. This was a stone tablet that was 30 feet tall. It was black and lifeless, and there were traces of blood on it. It looked exceptionally evil. "The general appointing platform has appeared, and the mausoleum is in chaos. You're here too." Chu Bei narrowed his eyes and let out a long breath. The black demon suppression stone stood in the middle of thousands of tombstones. It looked much taller than the other tombstones, even more like a tombstone. Bright red blood stained its surface, making it look very evil, like a king of tombstones. After its arrival, the deafening clamor of the graveyard of gods and demons instantly fell silent. It stood in the middle of the tombstones. Although it did not move, the aura of death it exuded far surpassed that of all the tombstones in the graveyard of gods and demons combined. Buzz! Buzz! The demon suppression stone trembled slightly and let out a series of rumbles. The souls and corpses of the gods and demons that were kneeling before the general appointing platform actually slowly returned to their tombs. "Oh my God! Another amazing thing has come!" Looking at the gods and demons that retreated below, the dragon baby moved its throat and could not help but cry out. Chen-Nan, Catherine, and the others also looked shocked. All of them sized up the demon suppression stone again, their faces full of astonishment. Although there was no surprise in Dugu Xiaoshuan's expression, her eyes were already red, and there was a strong sense of longing. Chu Bei was the only one whose expression hadn't changed since the beginning. In a few breaths' time, the thousands of gods and demons' corpses all returned to their tombs. The cracked ground slowly closed, and the shattered tombstones also reconnected under an unknown force. At first glance, it was as if nothing had happened in the graveyard of gods and demons. There was only a tombstone in the middle with a blood demon stone. Although everything had returned to normal, this unusual silence made one's heart palpitate. The demon suppression stone was originally an item of heaven, but because it was stained with the blood of the ancient taboo god, Dugu, it was refined in the end. "Master, they seem to be enemies." Chen-Nan glanced at the demon suppression stone below, and then looked at the general appointing platform beneath his feet, his brows tightly knitted together. The general appointing platform and the demon suppression stone interweaved with various lights, and undercurrents surged. Boom! Suddenly, the general appointing platform erupted with a dazzling divine light. Immediately after, its 1,000-feet-long body quickly shrank to the size of the demon suppression stone. Then, it smashed down towards the demon suppression stone below, finally hovering 10 meters above it and continuously circling. At this moment, the demon suppression stone was no longer silent. The bright red blood stains on its body became even more dazzling and gorgeous, emitting waves of evil light. This continued until blood flowed down and dyed the stone tablet red. The general appointing platform spun faster and faster. In the end, it directly transformed into a huge black shadow that coiled above the demon suppression stone. A dull and oppressive aura filled the entire graveyard of gods and demons. Looking at the demon suppression stone again, the evil blood flowing out of it had already dripped to the ground, as if it had turned into a blood tablet. Chapter 378. Roar! Suddenly, a roar that seemed to come from the primordial times sounded from the general appointing platform. In the next moment, the general appointing platform suddenly smashed towards the demon suppressing stone with supreme divine might. Almost at the same time, the demon suppressing stone rose from the ground and faced the attack. Rumble! Amidst the shocking collision, a wave of blood soared into the sky. Blood flowed out from the demon suppressing stone, turning into a wave of blood that blotted out the sky and blocked the impact of the general appointing platform. Billions of living beings as soldiers, millions of godfiends as generals! The general appointing platform floated above the blood wave, and a vigorous voice sounded from within. The 12 intersecting blood-red words in the distant sky emitted endless blood light, and once again smashed towards the demon suppressing stone below. Splash! The monstrous blood wave was instantly dispersed, revealing the demon suppressing stone below. However, at this moment, an extremely abnormal change also occurred to the demon suppressing stone. 4 ghastly blood-red words were projected from the 4 sides of the blood-red tablet. Exterminate, kill, seal! On the demon suppressing stone, the 4 blood-red words were projected into the sky from 4 directions. Then, they charged towards the 12 blood-red words on the general appointing platform. Clang! 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 The blood-red words intertwined and collided, bringing about a series of deafening clangs that were like the sound of death. Master, are these 2 supreme treasures fighting? Chen-Nan was dumbfounded when he saw the scene on the battlefield below. The battle between the general appointing platform and the demon suppressing stone didn't seem like a battle between two inanimate objects, but more like a battle between two people. Could it be that there's a controller behind each of these two inanimate objects? The general appointing platform can make millions of godfiends kneel, and the demon suppressing stone can suppress millions of godfiends and make them return to the divine tomb. How terrifying are the strength of these two controllers! Catherine muttered to herself. When she thought of this, her heart pounded violently. Then, she couldn't help but look at Chu Bei, as if she was guessing if her master's cultivation base could compete with those two controllers. How can this be? Why are you killing each other? You're clearly on the same side. Dugu Xiaoxuan's expression was blank as she looked at the demon suppressing stone and the general appointing platform that were fighting below. She kept muttering, and the space between her brows was filled with deep confusion. She couldn't understand why two people who clearly knew each other would want to kill each other. Its target is the demon suppression stone, not the bloodstains on it. Just as Dugu Xiaoxian was puzzled, Chu Bei crossed his arms in front of his chest and said indifferently. Hearing Chu Bei's words, Dugu Xiaoxian frowned. What's the difference? The blood belongs to your father, but the demon-suppressing stone belongs to Qin Tian. Chu Bei replied. But this devil-suppressing stone has already been refined by Lord Father. Dugu Xiaoxian clenched her fists. No matter what, I have to stop them from continuing to fight. As her cold voice fell, Dugu Xiaoxian instantly appeared behind the devil-suppressing stone. She clenched her right hand, and purple light wrapped around the stone like vines. The conversation between Chu Bei and Dugu Xiaoxian naturally confused Chen Nan, Catherine, and the rest. The fact that Dugu Xiaoxian was able to join the battle between the two supreme treasures shocked them even more. They never would have thought that this woman's strength had already reached such a terrifying level. No matter which supreme treasure it was, they were all existences that could make thousands of godfiends submit. Who are you? It was also at this moment that a cold snort suddenly sounded in this world. The sudden shout caused the souls of Chen Nan and the rest to tremble. Immediately after, a hazy purple mist appeared in the east of the graveyard of godfiends, less than 1,000 feet away from them. In the purple mist, two green lights suddenly appeared. They were so evil and terrifying as they coldly stared at them. Chen Nan looked vigilant. His intuition told him that it was a pair of eyes. Regardless of whether it was a human demon or beast, they were definitely the eyes of a creature with terrifying strength. This was the third living creature they had encountered after entering the Eternal Forest, apart from Catherine and the Headless Angel. Chu Bei, who had a god's view, smiled knowingly when he saw the two green lights in the purple mist. As the commotion caused by the demon suppression stone and the general appointing platform was too great, the master of this world had also appeared. Of course, this master was just a chess piece. Damn! Which great god is this? The purple-gold divine dragon stared at the hazy purple mist and shrank its neck. Just as the purple mist appeared, the general appointing platform suddenly broke away from the battle with the demon's suppression stone and instantly appeared under the purple mist. At the same time, the owner of the pair of soul-stirring eyes in the purple mist stood on the general appointing platform. The two green lights made one shudder. The moment the mysterious person appeared, the demon suppression stone trembled slightly. The 4 words exterminate, kill, seal above it also returned to the bloodstains. I thought you would always have more. Dugu Xiaoxian stood beside the demon suppression stone and glanced at the hazy purple mist. It was as if she had long sensed the existence of the mysterious person in the purple mist. Her leisurely voice was like a thunderclap that drifted between heaven and earth. Master, is he the owner of the general appointing platform? Is he the owner of this eternal forest? Did the millions of godfiends kneel to him? Chen Nan looked at Chu Bei and asked a few questions in a row. In his opinion, this mysterious person was definitely a super big shot. He should be one of the so-called strategists. No, he's just a chess piece in the game. Chu Bei glanced at Chen Nan, shook his head, and replied indifferently. The so-called mysterious person in the hazy purple mist could be considered a pitiful person. He had always thought that he was the strongest person in the world, the mastermind behind the scenes. Little did he know that he was just a chess piece on someone else's chessboard. Where did this demon stone come from? In the purple mist, the owner of the two green lights merely snorted coldly, causing the void to tremble and cracks to spread. I should be the one asking you this. Why is the general appointing platform under your control? As cold in the forest shout fell, Dugu Xiaoxian waved her right hand, and a faint purple light was released from her palm, instantly enveloping this world. At the same time, Chu Bei, Chen Nan, and the others were enveloped by a faint purple ball of light, protecting them in all directions. Chen Nan sized up his surroundings, and a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. He could no longer see the graveyard of gods and devils below. There was only endless purple light, that woman, and the demon-suppressing stone beside her. Other than that, there was only the mysterious person not far away and the general appointing platform under his feet. That's exactly what I wanted. I was afraid that the following battle would destroy my small world. To ensure that nothing goes wrong, I'll reinforce it. A burst of laughter came from the purple mist. Following that, an arm stretched out. With a wave, a layer of strange black light was mixed in the endless purple light. What does the demon-suppressing stone have to do with you? What's his relationship with the general appointing platform? Why did the general appointing platform attack the demon-suppressing stone? Why? Since he couldn't get any answers from Chu Bei, Chen Nan could only turn his attention to Dugu Xiaoxian. He really couldn't wait to solve all the mysteries. This feeling was like he had clearly grasped onto something, but it was useless. It wasn't the key point. For the current you, ignorance is bliss. Dugu Xiaoxian glanced at Chen Nan and could not help but sigh. Although her voice was a little cold, it was as beautiful as the sound of nature. Some people don't understand. They chased after it their entire lives, but in the end, they couldn't help but fall silent in the graveyard of gods and devils. Some things can't end once they start. Those who are qualified to play the game are actually playing with their own lives. They can't quit halfway until the game ends. Dugu Xiaoxuan's words confused Chen Nan. Life is like a game of chess. The world is just a big game, and all living beings are chess pieces on the board. Unfortunately, I left midway, but I'm still one of the most powerful players. I'm back. Towards the end, Dugu Xiaoxuan's voice became louder and louder. In the end, it was like divine thunder from the 9 heavens surging through this world. I'm back. It was also at this moment that this loud and impassioned voice echoed through all the factions that had a projection, whether it was the human world or the heaven realm. In the graveyard of gods and devils in the central part of the Tianyuan continent, the great keeper sat by the straw hut and looked towards the west. A smile appeared on his lips. This child is really carved out of the same mold as Xianxian. In the Tanhai ancient sacred ground in the eastern part of the Tianyuan continent, the elders and disciples couldn't help but cover their ears with both hands. But even so, the voice from the projection still shocked them. In the Church of Light in the western part of the Tianyuan continent, the Pope and the clergyman stared at Dugu Xiaoxian in the projection. Your Holiness, are there any records about this woman's deeds in the ancient records? She seems to know the demon suppression stone. Your Holiness, do you know what the general appointing platform is? It's the same as the demon suppression stone, a treasure of heaven and earth. Then why did the general appointing platform attack the demon suppression stone? Your Holiness, who exactly are they? Are they gods and devils that survived 10,000 years ago? The clergymen spoke one after another. All of you, shut up. If you asked me, who am I supposed to ask? The Pope shouted. What the hell did he know about these questions? Heaven realm, west. In the goddess of wisdom's temple, the 6 core gods looked at each other. Can you feel the aura flowing on her body? What kind of cultivation base does she have to be able to let her aura penetrate the void and even we can feel it? Her aura makes my heart palpitate. What level of power is she at? Could she be a divine emperor? 100 years ago, by chance, I came into contact with a low-level divine emperor from the east. Although his strength was above mine, I dared to fight him. She, on the other hand, makes me afraid. From what you mean, she's at least a mid-level, or even a Mahayana divine emperor? The ancient god disappeared overnight. Vaguely, I feel that there's another realm above the divine emperor realm. Maybe she has already touched or even stepped into that realm. In the temple, the 6 core gods had different expressions. While they were guessing, they continued to pay attention to the situation in the eternal forest. Who are you? Why don't I have a chess piece like you in my chess game? In the eternal forest, demonic aura surged. The general appointing platform hovered less than 1,000 feet away from Dugu's Shaoxian with a hazy purple fog. 2 dazzling green lights were filled with coldness. Your chess game? Ha ha, who do you think you are? Dugu's Shaoxian sneered. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disdain. Who do I think I am? These simple words caused the mysterious person hidden in the purple fog on the general appointing platform to be stunned. Gradually, the 2 green lights surged with killing intent. The faintly revealed figure shook violently a few times. It was obvious that it was completely enraged. That's interesting. Chu Bei glanced at Dugu Shaoxian. Her straightforwardness made him laugh out loud. Qinan, the purple gold divine dragon, the baby dragon, and the others could not hide their laughter. Little Dawn's childish voice was vaguely mixed in their laughter. Why don't you ask him if he places you in his eyes? At this moment, Dugu Shaoxian suddenly pointed her finger at Chu Bei. Chu Bei was stunned when he heard Dugu Shishuan's words. He just wanted to watch the show, but the other party suddenly changed the topic to him. Sensing the cold gaze from the purple fog, Chu Bei coughed softly and shrugged. I don't care who you are or the origin of that stone. Since you've come to my inner world, you can only die. The mysterious person's voice was cold and filled with monstrous killing intent. No matter who dared to look down on him, the ruler of the world, they had to die. Chaotic yin and yang, return to chaos, primordial demon sealing curse. Primordial demon sealing seal. Before the mysterious person could make a move, Dugu Shaoxian had already spoken. As soon as she shouted, countless curse and seal words inexplicably surged out of the void in this imprisoned world. They rumbled and suppressed the hazy purple fog. Chi chi chi. Countless golden characters sank into the purple mist, instantly dispersing the surging purple mist. At this moment, the appearance of the mysterious person in the purple fog was completely revealed to everyone. His long hair was as red as blood, so red that it was shocking. The wrinkles on his old face were wrinkled and piled up like dried orange peels. In his deep eye sockets, a pair of green eyes were exceptionally cold. They were even scarier than the eyes of a wild beast that glowed green in the darkness. His skinny body was as thin and tall as a bamboo pole. His skin did not have the slightest luster as it wrapped around his skeleton-like body. He could really be called a bag of bones, with only an additional layer of skin compared to a skeleton. It made him look like a living ghost from hell. You do have the right to be arrogant. No wonder you dare to say that you're one of the strongest game players in the world. The skinny old man looked at Dugu Shaoxian coldly. So you've also stepped into this realm? Chapter 379. Master, what realm are they talking about? Qin Nan first looked at the mysterious man in Dugu Shaoxian, then his gaze landed on Chu Bei as he asked curiously. In the human world, a Type 6 expert is known as a peerless expert. When one breaks through to the Type 7 realm, they will be brought to another world, which is the heavenly realm. The Type 7 realm is also known as the immortal martial realm. Most of the fairies and angels are at this realm. The Corpse King of the Chasing Corpse sect is at the peak of the Type 7 realm. After breaking through the immortal martial realm is the God King realm. At this realm, one can already establish a sect in the heavenly realm. Those who accept the faith of the people and call themselves gods are at this realm. Above that is the God Emperor realm, which is also the strongest in the heavenly realm. Experts at this realm can stay in seclusion for thousands of years. It's rare even in the heavenly realm. Chu Bei's calm voice sounded in Chen Nan's ears. Hearing Chu Bei's words, Chen Nan was overjoyed, and he quickly pointed at the mysterious man and Duge Xiaoxian. Then, are they at the God Emperor realm? No. Chu Bei shook his head with a smile. There's an even higher realm above the God Emperor realm, called the Heavenly Realm. The Heavenly Realm is further divided into elementary, middle, great ascension, and peak. Every small realm is an insurmountable gap, and even after thousands of years of seclusion, it is hard to break through. The two of them are at the Heavenly Realm. Heavenly Realm? Chen Nan was shocked, staring straight at Chu Bei. Master, didn't you say that the highest cultivation in the Heavenly Realm is at the God Emperor realm? Then why is there a Heavenly Realm above the God Emperor realm? Long Bao, Zijin Divine Dragon, Kathleen and the rest also perked up their ears, waiting for Chu Bei's next words. Their eyes were filled with shock and anticipation. Master was only talking about the current Heavenly Realm. A few years ago, with the cooperation of those behind the scenes, the Heavenly Realm was created. All the Heaven Realm experts were sealed in the Third Realm. In this era, if you want to meet a Heaven Realm expert again, I'm afraid you can only meet one in these extremely dangerous lost small worlds. Chu Bei straightened his clothes and said calmly, without any ripples in his voice. Sealed in the Third Realm? Why did they have to be sealed? What was the cultivation level of the person who was able to seal them? Peak of the Heaven Realm? Or was there an even higher realm above the Heaven Realm? Master, what realm are you in? Chen Nan looked at Chu Bei with a pleading expression. He clasped his hands together and sincerely sought an answer. He. Chu Bei gave Chen Nan a look. He didn't say anything else and stopped when it came to it. The corners of Chen Nan's mouth twitched as he cursed in his heart. He could only look at Duge Xiaoxian and the mysterious man again. It's a pity that you've only just entered this realm. After determining Duge Xiaoxian's realm, the skinny old man's face became a little more serious, but he didn't seem to be facing a great enemy. Let me experience your immemorial demon sealing curse and chaos demon sealing seal. As his cold voice fell, the skinny old man's eyes shot out two intertwined green lights formed by runes. His cold gaze was like a sharp sword as it swam among the countless curse and seal characters. Clang, clang, clang. The collision between the green light and the seal wasn't very fancy, but it brought about a series of deafening and crisp sounds. The power contained in both of them was extremely restrained. It was as if they were watching a battle between two rank 3 cultivators. The difference was that once the energy spread out from the collision, even if the energy was negligible like a thread, it could cause the void to tremble and a large number of spatial cracks to spread. In the continuous collision, the number of seals decreased until they completely disappeared. As for the two dazzling green lights, they gradually became especially dim. They hovered in front of the mysterious man as if they would dissipate at any time. Master, who will win? After glancing at the battlefield, Chen Nan's gaze fell on Chu Bei. You're called Chen Nan now, right? I'll borrow your body and the Tai Chi God Demon diagram. Before Chen Nan could wait for Chu Bei to answer his question, Duge Xiaoxuan's voice had already rung in his ears. In the next moment, Duge Xiaoxian turned into a purple light and entered Chen Nan's body. Demoness, what the hell are you doing? Chen Nan exclaimed. The moment Duge Xiaoxian entered his body, he suddenly realized that he had lost control of his body. The only thing that was still under his control was his mouth. Master, save me! I'm being controlled by her! Chen Nan hurriedly shouted at Chu Bei, his voice filled with fear. Don't be nervous. She's just borrowing your body. She won't hurt you. Chu Bei smiled at Chen Nan. The reason why Duge Xiaoxian borrowed Chen Nan's body was naturally because she sensed the skinny old man's cultivation. With her current cultivation level, it would be difficult for her to win. She could only rely on the Tai Chi God Demon diagram. Under Duge Xiaoxuan's control, Chen Nan instantly appeared in front of the skinny old man. The two of them were less than a meter apart. F*CKU. Chin Nan could not help but curse when he met the skinny old man's gaze at such a close distance. The skinny old man's gaze was like that of a wild beast. He stared at Chin Nan with disdain, as if he was sizing up an ant. However, it was under such a gaze that Chin Nan almost collapsed. His mind was on the verge of breaking down. It had to be said that in terms of cultivation level, Chen Nan and the mysterious man were like heaven and earth. Just the other party's disdainful gaze almost caused him to lose his mind and die. At that moment, Chin Nan truly experienced the terror of a heaven-state powerhouse. It was so perverse that no words could describe it. It was unfathomable and incomprehensible. There seems to be something incredible in this stinking bug's body. If I nurture him into a chess piece, he might be of some use. The skinny old man's gaze was fixed on Chin Nan's chest. His words were emotionless. Stinking bug? Stinking bug my ass! Didn't you just reach heaven state and are slightly more powerful than me in terms of cultivation level? Could it be that you were born a powerhouse? Aren't you a human now? Chen Nan gritted his teeth and endured the mysterious man's vast spiritual pressure. He immediately retaliated. Human? The skinny old man snorted coldly. He was expressionless. Don't compare such a filthy and weak race to me. I've long since surpassed the realm of humans. Right now, I'm high and mighty in this world. I'm the ruler who looks down on a weak bug like you. In front of me, you're not even a speck of dust. When he said this, the skinny old man did not have any human emotions. He stared at Chen Nan coldly as if he was looking down on an animal. F***CKU. When he heard the skinny old man's words, Chen Nan was about to go crazy. The other party's deep-rooted contempt for him made him extremely displeased. If it were not for the fact that he was not strong enough, he really wanted to slap this arrogant scum who thought he was the ruler of the world to death. You're not the only heaven-state powerhouse. There's always someone better out there. Since you look down on humans so much, why do you keep your human appearance? Why don't you turn into a pig or dog? Chen Nan licked his lips and added, There's always someone better out there. Do you know which and it is? What right does he have to be compared to me? The skinny old man glanced in Chu Bei's direction. His face was full of disdain. He continued, As for using a human appearance, it's just a stinking bag of skin. Even if I turn my body into a pig or dog, I'm still the ruler of this world. I'm a high and mighty existence. That's true. You don't think of yourself as a human anymore. You're now a mad dog. I shouldn't be angry at your contempt for a mad dog. If a person is bitten by a dog, should he bite back? Chen Nan struggled to say these words. In truth, he did not want to give up on mocking the skinny old man. However, his mind could not take it anymore. Under the other party's majestic pressure, he was about to break down. The absolute difference in strength was a fact that could not be changed. Little Chen Nan, thank you for successfully buying time for me. At this moment, Dugu Xiaoshuan's laughter came from Chen Nan's body. Then, her body released a faint light. Under the cover of this light, Chen Nan only felt his consciousness become incomparably clear, and the pressure that the mysterious person was exerting on him also disappeared in an instant. 9 Transformation Seal! Dugu Xiaoxian flew out of Chen Nan's body. At the same time, she pushed out a Tai Chi diagram. In the Tai Chi diagram, 2 balls of light spun quickly, releasing a hazy light. Bang! There was a loud sound. Dugu Xiaoxian held the Tai Chi godly demon diagram and pressed it against the skinny old man's chest. The primordial demon sealing curse and demon sealing seal can't do anything to me. You want to use a diagram to seal me? What a joke! The skinny old man laughed coldly. However, as soon as his mocking voice fell, his expression changed. He exclaimed, What did you do to me? The skinny old man's face darkened. He realized that he could not move his body. After calming down, the mysterious man looked conflicted. He seemed to be hesitating, but at the same time, he seemed to be waiting to see what would happen. Demonic woman, he can't move? Chen Nan realized that he had regained control of his body. He was excited. When he saw that the skinny old man was suppressed by Dugu Szechuan's Tai Chi godly demon diagram, his smile widened. He revealed a sinister look. Kick the dog 500 times! After confirming that the skinny old man could not move, Chen Nan laughed proudly. There was a sinister and ruthless look in his eyes. In the next moment, Chen Nan jumped into the air and kicked the skinny old man continuously. Bang! 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 In a breath's time, Chen Nan had kicked the skinny old man 500 times. You're a stinking bug. You deserve to die. When I get rid of this stupid diagram, I'll make you wish you were dead. The skinny old man's wrinkled face turned the color of pig liver. It was not because of the pain. It could even be said that the person who felt the pain was Chen Nan. The skinny old man's skin was so thick that it made Chen Nan's legs feel like they were about to break. The skinny old man's face was dark because he was angry. He was humiliated. He claimed to be the ruler of heaven and earth. However, he was kicked by the stinking bug in his eyes. This made him extremely angry. His green eyes shone with a sinister light. The longer you live, the thicker your skin becomes. Chen Nan's right hand turned into a sword radiance. He slashed a few times. However, the sword radiance was shattered by the recoil as soon as it hit the skinny old man. An ant will always be an ant. You want to hurt me? What a joke! The skinny old man sneered. His words were filled with disdain. I hate seeing that look in your eyes, Chen Nan shouted. Then, he raised his hand and slapped the skinny old man. The sound was crisp and clear. Chapter 380. On the battlefield, the skinny old man, who had been looking down on Chen Nan, was stunned by the sudden slap. After being stunned for a while, the skinny old man finally reacted and roared angrily. Kid, how dare you slap me? How dare you slap my face? How dare you humiliate me, a ruler? I'll kill you! I'll grind your bones to dust! His roar was filled with murderous intent. Slap! Chen Nan slapped the mysterious man's face again with a backhand. Ha! Dugu Xiaoxian, Chu Bei, Ruffian Dragon, Catherine, and the others who were watching from the side could not help but laugh. They laughed heartlessly. Dugu Xiaoxian stared at Chen Nan in satisfaction and spoke in a clear and melodious voice. Even though you can't hurt him at your level of cultivation, humiliating him like this is far more satisfying than killing him. Oh my god, this kid is too crazy! The purple gold divine dragon and the baby dragons watched with their mouths agape, as if they could not believe what they had just seen. In the Tianxian continent's cemetery of gods and devils, the old man who was guarding the cemetery with a walking stick could not help but smile. This kid really doesn't play by the rules. Stinking bug, how dare you humiliate me like this? I'll send you into the cycle of reincarnation and torture you for 100 lifetimes. The skinny old man's eyes were bloodshot, and he was furious. He glared fiercely at Chen Nan with his green eyes. He had lived for tens of thousands of years and had never been humiliated like this. However, although his murderous intent filled the sky, he did not make a move. He only glared at Chen Nan angrily. Can't you see the situation before you? You can't even move now, and you still dare to look at me like this? Even if you're some bullshasters T Heaven Realm elite, I'll still shatter your pride. Chen Nan was enraged when he met the skinny old man's disdainful gaze. He slapped his mouth continuously with both hands, and the crisp slapping sounds were endless. Good kid, you're awesome! The purple gold divine dragon clapped his claws and cheered. He was also disgusted by the skinny old man's arrogance. It had also been trampled on by Chen Nan before, but now that it was a spectator, it was delighted to see the skinny old man being humiliated. On the other hand, Dugu Xiaoxian, who was also on the battlefield, gradually withdrew the smile on her face. She seemed to have sensed something, and a serious expression appeared between her brows. Look at you, you keep saying that you're the high and mighty ruler, But why is your skin even harder than black iron? You're making my hand hurt. Chen Nan's tone was weird. His hands were twitching faster and faster. His words were filled with ridicule. Within a few breaths of time, the skinny old man had been slapped hundreds of times. His originally pig liver-colored face had turned purplish black from anger. I can't take it anymore. I want you to die now. The skinny old man seemed to have used all his strength to shout these words, and his killing intent became even colder. At this moment, Chen Nan felt an inexplicable sense of danger. It was as if the Grim Reaper had placed a scythe at his throat. Chen Nan's heart tightened. Without any hesitation, he hurriedly turned into a streak of golden light and flew away from the skinny old man towards Chu Bei. Rumble! The moment Chen Nan fled, a majestic and terrifying energy fluctuation swept out with the skinny old man as the center. The surging energy was like a river and an ocean, causing the surrounding purple light to explode and scatter in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the divine mausoleum below was clearly revealed. Under this terrifying energy fluctuation, several mountains in the distance collapsed with a loud bang. Rocks shot out, and smoke and dust billowed. Large patches of forest collapsed to the ground, and leaves fell. Several surging rivers surged out of the riverbanks and changed their course. The eruption of the skinny old man after breaking free from the Taiji God-fiend diagram could be said to have caused the world to lose its color. It was as if this small world was about to collapse. You actually know how to make a blood sacrifice to the general appointing platform. Dugu Shaoxian looked at the skinny old man and the blood-stained general appointing platform under his feet in astonishment. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Although sacrificing one's blood essence to the general appointing platform could forcefully break free from the restraints of the Taiji God-fiend diagram, one's origin would also be severely injured. Normally, no one would take such an extreme path to reach the heaven realm. This was because once one's origin was injured, it would be extremely difficult to advance to the next level in the future. With the skinny old man's strength, Dugu Shaoxian had never thought of using the Taiji God-fiend diagram to kill him. She only wanted to use the time the Taiji God-fiend diagram restrained the skinny old man so that she could accumulate power and activate the ancient seal formation to seal the skinny old man for 100 years. After all, the Taiji God-fiend diagram could only seal the skinny old man for a few minutes. However, even if it was just a few minutes, the skinny old man could not wait any longer. He even wanted to break free from the Taiji God-fiend diagram immediately, even if his origin was severely injured. Because of this, the skinny old man's hatred for Chen Nan could be seen. Master, I seem to have miscalculated. This old man is stronger than I thought. Chen Nan felt a lingering fear as he sensed the skinny old man's increasingly terrifying aura. Previously, when the other party was trapped by the Taiji God-fiend diagram, he thought that the other party had no more tricks up his sleeve. All of you must die. Especially you. I want to keep you alive and torture you slowly. The skinny old man was like a ferocious tiger. After glaring at Chen Nan coldly, he took the initiative to raise his fist and attack Dugu Shaoxian behind him. Dugu Shaoxian frowned and clenched her fist without hesitation to meet the attack. Boom! The collision between heaven and earth caused the world to be in turmoil. All the mountains were collapsing and the ground below was cracking continuously. Fortunately, you're smart and ran fast. Chu Bei, who was watching the battle, glanced at Chen Nan and smiled. My sixth sense is accurate. Chen Nan shrugged his shoulders in relief. If he had hesitated for a moment, even if he did not die, he would have been seriously injured. Just as the skinny old man's blood sacrifice general worship platform exploded with terrifying energy, the major forces outside the eternal forest also underwent a shocking change in the heaven realm and the human realm. Profound Sky Continent, God Wind Academy. A demonic claw that was hundreds of feet tall hung upside down in the sky. The bloody demonic claw seemed to have been cut off by some kind of sharp weapon, releasing a monstrous demonic aura. Old Man E, where did this demonic claw come from? Could it be the treasure of your academy? You've hidden too much from me. Chuao glanced at Ifeng with resentment. When he looked at the demonic claw in the sky again, the shock in his eyes was even more intense. Just a moment ago, the skinny old man in the image had exploded with unparalleled terrifying energy. This energy had directly seeped out from the image in the void. Just a trace of energy had destroyed a large area of the mountain forest below. Fortunately, just as Chuao Ifeng and the others' faces changed and they were worried that the academy would be destroyed, the huge demonic claw that emerged from the ground of the academy had covered the terrifying energy of the skinny old man in the image in time. Old man Chu, we've known each other for 100 years. When have I ever hidden anything from you? As for this demonic claw, I really don't know anything about it. What's more, this demonic claw is above. Just a trace of its aura made me have the urge to worship it. If this demonic claw was controlled by us, how could our academy be ranked at the bottom of the 4 great academies? Ifeng spread his hands helplessly. Then what is the origin of this demonic claw? Chuao frowned. Tantai Sacred Land? A group of disciples and elders looked at the distant sky in astonishment. Suddenly, a bloody head appeared in the sky above the projection. It was impossible to distinguish the gender of the head. Only the red light from the 2 eyes shone into the image, suppressing the majestic energy in the image. Master, what is this? Mengke swallowed her saliva and stared at the bloody head above. The old man beside Mengke shook his head. His eyes were also full of confusion. Church of Light. The Pope and a group of clergy looked at the sky above the forbidden area in a daze. Half of the body of a 12-winged angel was floating above the image. With itself as the center, it released a strange energy to protect the entire church. At this moment, as long as the forces in the Tianxian continent had a strange treasure that projected the image of the eternal forest, when the skinny old man's energy was riding, strange things appeared to resist the leakage of this energy. It was either immortal treasures or the remains of ancient gods and demons. Heaven Realm, West. In the Goddess of Wisdom's temple. The 6 main gods sat opposite each other, urging the divine power in their body at the same time to resist the power of the skinny old man in the eternal forest. I dare say that this person is definitely not in the Divine Emperor realm. There must be a higher realm above the Divine Emperor realm, and he is in that realm. I have the same idea as you. Otherwise, with just the power released by himself, and from thousands of miles away, it is impossible to hurt us. How many existences above the Divine Emperor realm are there? Where are they? The 6 main gods had blood on the corners of their mouths, and their faces were pale. Go to hell, stinky bug! In the eternal forest, the skinny old man punched Dugu Shaoxian back. Then he shouted and waved his right hand. 2 tall mountains in the distance rose into the sky. Wrapped in divine power, they instantly appeared in front of Chu Bei and the others and attacked from the front and back. Chu Bei furrowed his brows as he sensed the power of Heaven's state being exerted on the 2 mountains. Just as he was about to pawn off the level 16 items, Dugu Shaoxian waved her left hand, and 2 rainbow-like purple ribbons shot out and bombarded the 2 mountains. Your opponent is me! The 2 mountains were shattered. Dugu Shaoxian shouted and waved her slender hand. The demon-suppressing stone fell beside her. Since you are in such a hurry to die, I will satisfy you. The skinny old man's blood-red hair stood on end as he roared into the sky. If you did not sneak attack me first, I would not have been humiliated by him, and I would not have been injured by the blood sacrifice general worship platform. The skinny old man clenched his fists and raised his hand to form a sandstorm that swept toward Dugu Shaoxian. This was an energy tornado that made the world lose its color. A giant energy vortex formed in the center and surrounded Dugu Shaoxian in the blink of an eye. Facing such a terrifying celestial storm, Dugu Shaoxian's expression did not change much. Her graceful body trembled slightly, and several purple clouds spread out with her as the center. Rumble! The purple clouds surged into the celestial storm. The 2 intertwined, and the rumbling sound was endless. In the collision, the thousands of purple clouds did not destroy the storm, but the storm could not advance any further. You! Which ancient powerhouse are you? Seeing Dugu Xiaoxian block his attack again, the skinny old man frowned. In terms of cultivation level, he was one level higher than the other party, but after 2 exchanges, he did not have an obvious advantage. A little chess piece like you has no right to know who I am. If my cultivation level was still at its peak, the battle would have ended long ago. Dugu Xiaoxuan's bell-like laughter resounded throughout this world. Her crisp and pleasant voice was like the sound of nature. How arrogant! I am the ruler of this world. If I am a chess piece, who would dare to be the chess player? The skinny old man sneered. The general worship platform flew to his side. When he placed his bloody palm on the general worship platform, the majestic aura in his body instantly increased by several notches. Chapter 381. How laughable! If you're a supreme being, then why did you have to sacrifice your blood to the general appointing platform when you fought me? Dugu Xiaoxian glanced at the skinny old man with disdain. Then, she pointed at Chu Bei. Not to mention you, even he wouldn't dare to call himself the supreme being of this world. Chu Bei couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth when he saw Dugu Xiaoxian pointing the spear at him again. Finally, Chu Bei couldn't help but say, If you want to fight, then hurry up and fight. Why are you still talking when you're fighting? Are you done yet? Dugu Xiaoxian and the skinny old man's expressions changed at the same time when they heard Chu Bei's words. The general appointing platform is just a dead object. No matter how powerful it is, it's still mine. The skinny old man looked at Dugu Xiaoxian and let out a cold snort. As his palm stopped on the general appointing platform, the latter's color became increasingly blood-red, while the skinny old man's face began to turn pale. However, his aura became increasingly terrifying. Sensing the skinny old man's soaring aura, Dugu Xiaoxuan's expression became incomparably serious. She held the dark demon-suppressing stone with both hands. Under her touch, the bright red blood stains seemed to have just been sprinkled from a fresh corpse. They gurgled and emitted a steaming blood energy. Kill! In the next moment, the skinny old man and Dugu Xiaoxian seemed to have reached a consensus. One of them held the general appointing platform while the other held the demon-suppressing stone. They smashed towards each other at the same time. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the general appointing platform, which emitted a majestic aura, collided with the evil demon-suppressing stone. The sound shook the heavens. At this moment, the void completely collapsed. The graveyard of gods and devils below caved into the distorted dark space. The mountain peaks turned into nothingness, and the endless forest shattered into a rain of light. Under the terrifying collision of the general appointing platform and the demon-suppressing stone, the newly established small world completely collapsed. Only intertwining purple light and blood-red light remained. If Qin Nan, Catherine, and the others weren't within Chu Bei's protection, they would have probably been reduced to ashes. Boom! After the collision, the general appointing platform and the demon-suppressing stone immediately separated. They each flew in a circle before they collided again under the hands of the skinny old man and Dugu Xiaoxian. The cycle repeated itself. The void was crumbling even more. After every collision, a large amount of pitch-black lightning would surge out from the void. The dense black lightning interweaved and rumbled non-stop. This scene was like hell. Finally, after a collision, the Devil's Suppression Stone and the general appointing platform didn't continue to collide. Instead, they each stopped at one side. At this moment, the skinny old man was surrounded by a monstrous demonic aura. His clothes were ragged, and his entire body was in tatters. His skinny body was deformed from the impact. Looking back at Dugu Xiaoxian, although she still maintained her previous appearance, her aura had clearly become weaker, and the energy fluctuations around her had also become chaotic. Her pair of beautiful eyes were permeated with a purplish-red light. "No matter who you are, you will be buried here today!" The skinny old man stared coldly at Dugu Xiaoxian. With a loud laugh, his body shook, and his tattered clothes and deformed body returned to its original state. "Let's see how much longer you can last. If it weren't for the fact that my old illness hasn't healed, killing you would only take a single thought." Dugu Xiaoxian glared at the skinny old man unwillingly. Using the devil suppression stone required a large amount of source energy. In the previous collisions, she had almost exhausted all the energy in her body. What made her even more unwilling was that when she continued to mobilize her energy, an inexplicable power hidden in her body suddenly erupted, causing her to be unable to continue using the devil's suppression stone. She knew that if this continued, the outcome wouldn't be good. After hesitating for a moment, Dugu Xiaoxian flew directly in Chu Bei's direction. "Do you understand the situation now? From the moment the blood sacrifice begins, all of you will only have one outcome: to be tortured to death." The skinny old man seemed to have seen through Dugu Xiaoxian's thoughts, and placed his other hand on the general appointing platform. In an instant, the general appointing platform released a monstrous blood-red light. It was also at this moment that the skinny old man completely turned into a skeleton. The blood in his body was completely sucked out. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The blood-red general appointing platform suddenly trembled. Then, layers of red light spread out in all directions like overlapping waves. Everywhere it passed, everything was imprisoned. "Don't worry, I won't let you die a quick death." The skinny old man slowly flew to Dugu Xiaoxian's side with a vicious look in his eyes. At this moment, the devil's suppression stone was hovering around Dugu Xiaoxian. From time to time, it would roar like an ancient ferocious beast at the skinny old man. "Your opponent is this, not me." The skinny old man glanced at the devil's suppression stone and threw the general appointing platform in his hand over. In an instant, the two treasures of heaven and earth collided again. As for the skinny old man, he sneered as he looked at the immobilized Dugu Xiaoxian. "Master, she doesn't seem to be in a good situation." Chen Nan pointed at the imprisoned Dugu Xiaoxian and turned to look at Chu Bei. "Master, please help sister. She doesn't seem to be able to defeat that skeleton bad guy." In the screen, the skinny old man raised his right hand and slashed horizontally at Dugu Xiaoxian. The void trembled and rumbled as a pitch-black gap appeared in front of his palm. From the gap, a black blade of light that was hundreds of feet long swept out, shattering the space in its path. It was such a terrifying blade of light that seemed slow but fixed the void as it slashed toward Dugu Xiaoxian. The terrifying power of the pitch-black blade of light seemed to be transmitted through the screen. Roar! In the sky above the Church of Light's temple, half of the 12-winged angel's body screamed miserably. Its roar shook the heavens as it tried its best to suppress the power of the pitch-black blade of light. Perhaps it was because its limbs were incomplete, and it was no longer at its peak, or perhaps it was because it had exhausted too much of its power to suppress the collision between the demon suppression stone and the general appointing platform. Although it had blocked most of the power of the pitch-black blade of light, a little of its power still seeped out. Rumble! The power of the blade of light that seeped out directly landed on one of the main peaks of the church. Instantly, the main peak was forcefully cut in half, leaving behind a deep ravine that was shocking to the eye. This power is truly terrifying. The Pope and the clergyman looked at each other, their faces filled with horror. Even a tiny bit of power that seeped out from the void could cut a mountain peak in half. Then, wouldn't the only fate for the woman who was facing this attack be death? Everyone from the Church of Light gulped and continued to look at the scene in the distant sky. However, just as the monstrous black blade of light was about to strike Dugu Xiaoxian's body, golden light spread out behind Dugu Xiaoxian, and a huge palm formed from golden runes suddenly appeared out of thin air. Then, the golden rune palm slapped out. With a rumble, it forcefully blocked the black blade of light. Following that, the golden rune palm flicked its fingertip. With a crisp crack, the monstrous black blade of light shattered, turning into a rain of black light that dissipated in the air. Your Holiness, did you see that? That blade of light was blocked. The clergyman's eyes were filled with astonishment. Your Holiness, what's with that golden palm? Is it that woman's backup plan? Another clergyman asked. No, the aura is different. The Pope's gaze was fixed on the golden rune palm behind Dugas Shaoxian as he stammered. There's a third person. Other than the two of them, there's a third supreme powerhouse. It's him. It must be him. The Pope's pupils suddenly constricted. His gaze shifted away from the golden rune palm and landed on a man. Although the man was wearing an ordinary long robe, he was emitting an incomparably sacred radiance as he stood in the air. This sacred aura seemed to have transcended the barrier of the void. Just looking at it through the screen would inexplicably fill one's heart with a warm current that made one feel refreshed and comfortable. On the battlefield, Chu Bei stood quietly in the air with his hands behind his back. His entire body was wrapped in golden light, imperceptibly exuding a majestic aura. He was like a high and mighty emperor, naturally exuding the aura of a powerhouse that looked down on the world, making people have the urge to worship him. Around him, the purple and black light that was originally intertwined with each other retreated, replaced by the golden light with runes. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.